shot from Goldsworthy.
Oh, what a comeback that is! Got him.
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
Brilliant shot from Goldsworthy.
Competition at Leicestershire, looking to win their 4th T20 crown, their first for 14 years. That would put them as the most successful club in this competition on their own. Again, they're currently the joint record holders with 3, but the last in 2011. And they face a Derbyshire team. And Richard, I couldn't believe it when I was looking earlier, but the record that Derbyshire have against Leicestershire is absolutely extraordinary.
It is, yes. Unfortunately, they've had the wood over the foxes in recent years, but you know, records are made to change, aren't they? And sooner or later, Leicestershire are going to beat their East Midland rivals. It's interesting that the lights are on, because the timing of the competition this season, we're coming up to we're not that far from, we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from the longest day. You know, that there isn't going to be much need for lights, so it might not have that much effect overall, though they have switched them on. So, well, Logan van Beek is going to open the bowling against his former teammates. Of course, did have a spell, Logan van Beek, the New Zealander, at the Falcons and, well, at Derbyshire a couple of seasons ago, and now very much a Fox.
So Leicestershire in their new strip, it's still green, but it's got flashes of red on it, and darker green too. It's a sort of collage of green and red. And Van Beek will be bowling from the pavilion end, so he's in front of us now, running away from us, right arm over the wicket. He's bowling to Caleb Jewell, who is pushing off the back foot and gets Derbyshire's campaign underway. And there's a spillage in the field, which means they're going to come back for 2. That's not the best start, with Jewell pushing it out square on the offside. And is that Salisbury out there?
It is. Let us hope that is not a portent of things to come. Fumble the very first ball of the competition.
So Caleb Jewell, the Australian, not played international cricket, but he's very highly rated. He's there in all formats across the summer. Van Beek, blonde-haired, 87 on his back, runs up to the wicket. He bowls. It's a short delivery that I think might have got a bottom edge on it, but it's well stopped by Ben Cox, diving to his right. His body weight was going to his left, and so there is no run. 2 for no loss is the score. Derbyshire in navy blue.
Brilliant stop by Cox. Yeah.
He's been a real revelation. He was joined us on the Talking Foxes podcast, which is the place to go for everything Leicestershire. All the analysis, insight, interviews, if you want it. That's available on BBC Sounds. And he was talking to us about how happy he has felt here. Had a bit of a rough time at Worcestershire, but he's really playing well. Makes such a contribution with the bat, but he's so agile. And he bends down now on his paunches as Van Beek runs in. Bowls a leg delivery, and that's sneaked through, and he's going to go for 4 byes. It's a beautiful delivery. Called Jewell completely on the hop. And it's run away for 4, straight behind him.
Missed off stump by a coat of paint. So did the previous delivery, actually, that he bottom edge to Cox's right, but that one would have been a genuine in-swinger that, over the top of the stumps, in fact. Right over the top of the stumps, and so very nearly cleaned him up.
Bowling back in towards Jewell, the in-swinger to the left-hander, and it was a beautiful delivery. Here is Van Beek running away from us once again. He's up to the wicket. He bowls a fuller delivery and nearly gets the edge. He's got Jewell pushing at that, and he missed it entirely. Van Beek has got him on toast right now. 6 for no loss is the score. Oh, Jewell got an inside edge on that. He's been awarded the runs.
It didn't run.
The 4.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes. Oh, yeah.
I said it was 4 byes, so I needed to correct myself.
It almost hit. He almost chopped on. Very nearly went onto the off stumps of consecutive deliveries that shaved the stumps.
Van Beek, the Dutch international, comes in. Bosses another beauty. There's an inside edge. He's got him. He had Jewell on toasted Van Beek. Another in-swinger that chopped him in half, and he got the inside edge that carried through to Ben Cox behind the stumps, running through to his right. And there's the perfect start for Leicestershire. They've got the early dismissal. They've got rid of the promising Australian Caleb Jewell for 6. Derbyshire 6 for no loss. And Van Beek on fire.
Yes, so often when the opening bowler is bowling really nicely, they don't seem, they beat the bat and don't pick up the wicket. So reward for Van Beek, and such a nice guy sort of off the field, but he is motivated to do well against his former county. And that early swing that Louis Kimber was talking about, he talked about the overheads, and then of course the sun came out, but the white ball does swing the first over or two. Remember Dieter Klein swinging it at about 90 miles an hour, and they've been swinging back into Caleb Jewell, and finally got the inside edge, caught behind.
Wonderful delivery. We've still got one more ball in, but it was really zipping through, wasn't it? Lovely shape, but tight and close to the stumps.
He's lively as well, Van Beek. He is probably, in his early overs, mid 85s, 86s sort of area. Hull is probably quicker at his best, but Van Beek's distinctly hasty when he gets it right.
He's got a nice high action too.
Yeah, he's an athlete as well.
He's not the tallest bloke, but he really gets the most out of it. In he comes, bowling to Lloyd, who defends his first delivery, and he was troubled by it too. Straight ball from Van Beek. Great first over. 6 runs from it. Leicestershire get the breakthrough early doors. The score 6-1 on BBC Radio Leicester. You're listening to live T20 Blast Cricket, the first game of the new campaign. Leicestershire taking on Derbyshire in front of what is a relatively healthy crowd at Grace Road.
It's starting to build, actually. They were thinking it may be around about 2, but I'm guessing it might be a few more than that as the evening goes on. Well, David Lloyd, former Derbyshire captain, came from Glamorgan, with a view to captaining the side, and did in the first year, but didn't really work out for him, so he stepped back to concentrate on his batting. 2 Welshmen then at the crease, and Irene Donald and David Lloyd. Donald will be on strike, bright orange cricket boots clashing quite horribly with his navy Derbyshire kit, but that's all right these days. The 2 men out then are at deep backward square, and I'm guessing third man looking around to see where the other man out is. As in comes Matt Salisbury, bowls to Donald, thick inside edge. It was a foolish delivery, it swung in a little bit, looking to on drive, thick inside edge. It rather trickled out towards mid wicket where Travaskis, delighted to be getting an opportunity, is fielding at the moment. The other man out is at sort of deep backward point, so they've got their 2 outriders more or less square, just slightly behind square on both sides of the wicket, the Foxes, and they still have a slip at the moment. Rishi Patel's in there as Salisbury is in, bowls, hit in the air, should be caught, is caught at mid-off. Donald just went for the rather flat-footed off drive and hit it straight to mid-off. I think that's Kimber out there. Never looked like making a mistake. He's got a very good pair of hands, Louis Kimber. Both feet were off the ground. He did take off into the air, took it two-handed above his head. And what a start by the Foxes.
Fantastic. Great bowling by Salisbury, who will really want to take this opportunity. It's his first T20 in nearly 2 years. He started very well. There's clearly a lot of pace in the wicket. A bit of movement with the ball too, and as you see, it just sort of hit the bottom of his bat, didn't it? I don't think he really found the timing at all, and it was, I think the word you used was flat. It was just, he didn't get the enough sort of height on the shot, and clubbed it straight, really, at head height, straight to Kimber. 6 for 2, and what's the rule? You've got you lose 3 wickets in the power play.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, then your chances of winning are hugely reduced. It was interesting that Alphonso Thomas talked about the sort of percentage of winning in terms of the side batting second, 58%, 42 to 58% basically. And certainly if you lose 3 in the power play, then the odds are against it. But here's a man, well, who rarely lets Derbyshire down against Leicestershire. Against any opposition. Salisbury's into Madsen, who looks to on drive as well. Doesn't quite time it as well as he would have liked, but it runs out quite quickly towards mid-on, who moves across to his left, Van Beek, and makes this stop. 6 for 2 after 9 deliveries. It was a poor shot from Donald. I mean, first, you are allowed to have 1 or 2 just little sighters, and a sort of flat-footed attempt at off-drive lofted straight to Kimber. Salisbury is in and bowls. Madsen drives very pleasantly. Kimber is after it. He's giving it everything. I don't think he's going to get there. The outfield is very, very fast. Madsen didn't try and overhit it, just leant into it and made sure he steered it wide of Kimber, who really did give it everything in the chase. And he's under the covers at the moment trying to fish out. You'd have thought one of the ground staff who are all sitting there might just have sort of made the effort to block it from going underneath. However, Louis Kimber has now retrieved it. Lovely shot from Madsen And let us hope we don't see too many of those this evening. 10 for 2. Madsen off the mark with a boundary.
It was perfectly placed, wasn't it? What a lovely shot. Madsen is the type of player that's given Leicestershire fans
nightmares, I think, over the years. So many runs against the Foxes. As Salisbury is in, bowls to him straight. He's halfway down the pitch as he walks down to meet that, tries to work it into the onside. It bounces up and hits him just at the top part of the pad, close to the thigh pad, as he tries to work it into the onside. Hit him a long way outside the line. He wanders down and prods at the pitch. It's not a hybrid pitch, but it looks, as Adam said, to have a little bit of pace about it, which is good to see, and that is what the grounds staff are asked to produce for T20 cricket. Salisbury, a rare sight, is in and bowls on driven, half stopped. Oh, brilliantly. In fact, it did a bit more than that, Logan van Beek, in the end. He did no idea where the ball had gone. I think it hit him on the foot as he slid across to mid-on, but had he not got his foot to it, then that would have certainly been a 4 as well. So another successful over for Leicestershire. Matt Salisbury back in the side, back playing cricket again, and you have to wish him, you know, luck with injury this season. You know, he just has had none throughout his career, both at Durham and now at Leicestershire as well. Shows immense promise when he does manage to stay fit for a few games, and let us hope he gets a run in this competition in particular. Derbyshire are 11 for 2.
What a magnificent start for Leicestershire. And as you say, Salisbury first game since June 2023, playing in the 2 warm-up games. But he's been hampered by injury, been kept out of the side too by what has been a very proficient bowling attack in county championship cricket. Logan van Beek will bowl from the pavilion end to the right-handed Wayne Madsen, who's 5 not out. He's up to the wicket, he bowls. A beautiful delivery, and he's bowled him with a Yorker that knocks off stump out of the ground. That's a cracker from Logan van Beek, and Derbyshire are in all sorts of trouble. Leicestershire on fire in their opening T20. 11 for 3 is the score, and Van Beek showing his potential as their overseas all-rounder. Madsen, so often the destroyer of Leicestershire, is sent packing for 5.
Wow, that really is huge. That is huge. What a delivery from Van Beek. He really got that spot on. I think it swung a little bit as well. Madsen and Samit Patel touch gloves, but under circumstances that Samit Patel would have been hoping to avoid, coming out in after just 13 deliveries, with his side already 3 down. Well, Derbyshire's skipper has it all to do here. I mean, he's done it and he's experienced and he's seen it all before, but 3 top batsmen blown out by the Foxes. That's astonishing stuff.
Yeah. And Patel, again, another player who's given Leicestershire nightmares, particularly last year. He won the 2 games that the 2 teams played against each other basically on his own. Got 2 big scores. Certainly the game at Edgbaston that these 2 played against each other, he won it with bat and ball, didn't he? And so the veteran, 22-year career with Nottinghamshire, he's moved across the border and now has a recovery job to do. Sunny skies, the sun just poking through the cloud to our right-hand side. It's a pleasant evening in the centre of Leicester. Here comes Van Beek. He's up to the wicket. He bowls, and it's clipped 2 straight from Van Beek. And Patel moved across his stumps and clipped him behind square on the leg side. It races over towards the covers on the far right-hand side of the field. And there is 4 runs. Patel off the mark with a delightful shot, actually. And it's 15 for 3.
Just lost his line there, didn't he, Logan van Beek? He'd be disappointed, though. Was in the air for a long time, but given that Salisbury was up on the edge of the circle at sort of short, fine leg, it was a pretty safe shot. Lovely pickup.
I think Patel was trying to negate the movement by moving across his stumps, and Van Beek was too straight and gifted in the 4. He's in, bowls, and off the back foot this time Patel drives to cover, where it is fielded by Liam Travaskis, who will play a big role later on with the ball and with the bat as well. As we've mentioned, Derbyshire with an incredible run of form against Leicestershire. They've won their last 6. That can't be many records like that in the T20, considering how one performance can change a game. You don't often get many records like that. 9 of the last 10 the Falcons have won 2 over the Foxes. Van Beek, 87 on his back. skips away from us. He's up to the wicket. He bowls a straight delivery. He took the pace off that a tiny bit. Length ball, and it's clipped into the leg side. And they get a single to mid-wicket. Rishi Patel it is, charging round to his right-hand side. And the score moves to 16 for 3. 2.4 overs gone.
I know we have a visiting party or a visiting couple from Germany in the crowd. They have never been to a cricket match before, and they wanted to see what it was all about. I wonder what they make of it. This isn't what they expected, I suspect.
Van Beek past the umpire now, bowls, off the back foot. Lloyd goes, that's David Lloyd. Got his foot placing a little bit all over the place there, was playing neither forward or back, but he timed it well enough. Went to backward point, there is no run, 16 for 3. Well, it's been an interesting start. You probably want to see more sixes if you were a German couple wanting to see this for the first time. But the wickets, you've seen the wicket splattering. Van Beek it is, up to the wicket now. He bowls, and that's edged on just over the head of slip, and rushes away for 4. It's a rash shot from Lloyd, who has got away with it. Leicestershire's so close to their 4th wicket within 3 overs, but as it is, it's 4 runs added to the total. Lloyd is off the mark, despite looking incredibly uncomfortable. 20 for 3 is the score. We've now had 3 overs in the game. The run rate 6.7.
Yeah, about a foot over the leaping Patel, although he flung himself into the air. Way to get off the mark for David Lloyd. Perhaps just a little hint of desperation about the shot with that little bit of extra movement. Right, Salisbury. We're only 3 overs in. No, he's going to take off Salisbury straight away and go to Sam Wood, who did play a couple of games last season for the Foxes. Local youngster. Sharpish right arm seam. Coming in from the Bennett end, bowls to Samit Patel nice and straight. Patel very good off his leg, stepped across his stumps and just worked it calmly into the onside. Sweeper out there, fields, and 1 is taken. Big partnership this now. If they can get Patel early, the Foxes, they really will be confident of restricting Derbyshire to a gettable score. Lewis Hill out there at short fine leg. Did not expect to be playing tonight, folks. I can certainly confirm that. As Wood is in and bowls. Doesn't bowl. Went all the way through his action, but just held on to the ball. Umpire Paul Baldwin, who's standing at the Bennett end in his first innings, makes the signal for it doesn't count. 21 for 3, 3.1 overs. Lloyd 4, Patel 6. Still the 2 men out at deep backward square and a sort of wide third man. Wood is in, bowl short, good delivery, and it bounced high above off stump, sort of middle stump line. Lloyd leant back and tried to ramp it over, just help it over the top of Ben Cox. Didn't get anything on it, could easily have tickled that into the gloves of Cox, but interesting delivery. Got a good bit of bounce as well, Wood.
Nice to see players surprised by bounces. He wasn't expecting that at all, was he?
Very straight run, fair hair, comes in and bowls. Slower ball clipped into the air and over mid-wicket for 6 by Patel. Got that one wrong, it was his slower ball, and well, Patel saw it very early. Also, it was into his favourite area, sort of leg stump, and Lloyd lifted it up high towards the little hobbit hole things that sort of shelters over there that sit unoccupied for most of the county championship games, but are all fully occupied at the moment. Lovely pick up by Lloyd, who's into double figures as Wood is in. Bowls to him, he's looking to work it away through the onside. He stepped outside the line, well outside off stump, attempting to do that. Didn't get anything on it, came off the pads, bounced out towards gully. Cox ran up and picked up, and you heard the call of no from Patel. Patel has 6 off 4, Lloyd now 10 off 6. That second boundary in his innings, the 6, rather more convincing than the first, the edge over first slip off Van Beek. Well, Kimber has changed his field. If you're going to bowl there, I'm going to have a deep mid-wicket, which means the backward third man has to come in. Worked off stump that time by Lloyd, but only as far as Shan Massud, who is at sort of a backward point position. You can take it as read that all the close fielders are on the edge of the circle. Well bowled by Wood. Just that one 6 aside, it hasn't been a bad over at all, which sounds an odd thing to say when you've conceded a maximum, but he's only gone for 7 from the first 5 balls, including the 6. And he does have a little bit more cover out there. Patel so strong off his legs, but it's Lloyd who's facing as Wood is in, bowls to him on 2 leg stump, tickled around the corner. It will be just the one, although the Welshman took the first quickly, had to run around Wood, who's entitled to stand his ground as long as he doesn't move across. And one is taken. So an over without a wicket. What's going on? 28 for 3 or 4, Derbyshire.
But 8 off it. I suspect with the power play you'd probably take that. And this is a very positive start for Leicestershire. You're listening to live T20 Blast Cricket on BBC Radio Leicester. At about 7 o'clock you'll have the chance to, you'll have the choice of listening. It'll be either Leicestershire to take you through until 10 o'clock tonight. You can stay with us on the cricket. Listen to us on BBC Sport website and app. BBC Sounds, your smart speaker, as we do with all T20 cricket. If you tuned in wanting to listen to our pre-match build-up of Leicester Tigers against Newcastle, you'll have to head to the podcast. That's on BBC Sounds. Salisbury now bowling from the pavilion end, and his first delivery is clipped into the leg side. There's no infielder though, so it was very safe from Lloyd, who's now 12 not out. Scored 29 for 3 at the start of the 5th over. This a match between first and second in the county championship. Both teams undefeated, but Leicestershire have won 5 of their 7. Derbyshire have drawn 5 of their 7, but it's still a very good start. And given the performances of both sides in the past decade or so, you wouldn't have expected those two to be right at the top of the table, but a very promising start for both of them. Salisbury it is, running away from us, kicks up his heels, he's past the umpire, he bowls, and Samit Patel is caught on the crease and is hit on the pads, and they scamper through for a leg bye as the ball dribbles into the leg side. 30 for 3 is the score.
It's clearly the plan then to sort of mix up Salisbury and Wood, but I must admit, with Van Beek having picked up a wicket in each of his first 2, I might have been tempted just to, change the plans and keep him going, just see if he can pick up one more, because this is a big partnership now. If they can break it early, it would be so important.
Salisbury, brown hair, up to the wicket, bowls, and he's got a leading edge out into the offside. He was trying to guide it away on the leg side, but it came off the outside of his bat and squirted into the offside, and gets a very fortuitous single. 31 for 3, Lloyd on to 13, 4.5 overs. And this match, it's the difficulty, isn't it, when you're picking bowlers at this stage, because you want to save your best bowler for the death as well, but if they're on form, there is sometimes no danger in bowling them out. You've pretty much won the game if your team's 30 for 5 after 5 overs. Here is Salisbury up to the wicket. Bowls, Patel again caught slightly. He jumps in the air as he goes back, and it's going to be another leg bye, I think. The umpire doesn't signal, I don't think, did he? Yes, no, he didn't signal. So he's on to 7. Must have inside edged that onto his legs. So 32 for 3 is the score.
Definitely a bigger crowd than was expected, I suspect. Good to see the Populace stand as full as it is.
It's a nice enough evening to make you decide to pop up, I think, and do a walk in. Here is Salisbury. He bowls a full delivery, and it's driven into the leg side. He made room for himself, moved his legs right out the way, did David Lloyd, and clipped it through the leg side, where it's fielded out there by Van Beek.
He had a decent competition last season, David Lloyd. 327 runs at an average of 27. 13 innings.
250s in that as well. So yeah, not a bad tournament. It's the man on strike at the moment though. Right-handed Samit Patel, whose bat is raised high as Salisbury comes into him. Bowls, it's a full delivery. On a half volley length, it's driven down the ground and well fielded by Massud, racing round from mid-on round to his left to gather, and that is the end of the over, and that was not too bad an over that at all from Salisbury. No boundaries conceded. Was it a single every ball?
It was.
Of that. So they will take that. So we are into the final over the power play. Leicestershire well on top, and the Indian drummers getting going as well. I do enjoy when they...
Is it T-shirt time or something like that? I think they're going to fire a few T-shirts into the crowd. They call them Bhangra drummers, something like that,
yes.
Isn't it? Sam Wood in from the Bennett end, bowls to Samit Patel, lovely slower ball that defeats Patel completely, and he sort of wafts away outside off stump, is beaten on the inside edge, shakes his head, and the ball is taken by Cox almost on the bounce. Nicely bowled by Wood. Dot ball.
Really promising young lad, isn't he, Wood? Came in with it's the One Day Cup really where he came to everyone's attention in an injury crisis, and he's mature well beyond his years.
In he comes, bowls again to Patel, who tries to work it into the inside, I think inside edge and pad, sees the ball trickle out towards point. Sol Budinger wins the race to get there first, and Patel does indeed pick up 1.
He's been with Leicestershire since 9, hasn't he? Wood. He's now 20. 6'4". It's the fact he's so broad-shouldered that really stands out to me.
They all are. They spend a lot of time in the gym, these boys. In goes Wood, and bowls lofted out towards mid-wicket. Should be caught by Travaskis. Is caught at Travaskis. Lloyd has gone, and Leicestershire have got their 4th wicket in the Derbyshire power play. They are all over the Falcons, the Foxes, at the moment, and this is a sensational start. Great for Wood to pick up a wicket, and great for the Foxes to pick up 4.
It's a very strange shot. It wasn't the right shot for the delivery. He tried to get his leg out the way to make room for it. I think he was trying to go straight. I'd be surprised if Lloyd meant it to go over to deep mid-wicket. It didn't feel like the right shot. Felt preempted, really. 35 for 4. Leicestershire all over Derbyshire like a rash. And they bowled brilliantly. Their pace bowlers all over them.
Well, Martin Anderson coming to the crease is probably not Derbyshire's last hope, but last hope of posting a really big score. Anderson made a really good century, his first century in first-class cricket at this ground earlier this season, and he was Middlesex's top scorer last season as well, having moved up in the close season. So, well, I said that was a key partnership between Patel and Lloyd, probably even more so now, but almost their sort of last chance, really. 35 for 4.
Anderson in form in the county championship.
Wood in and bowls to him, a little bit short. He walks down the pitch, tries to pull it down towards backward square, doesn't get anything on it, whether it didn't get up quite as much as he expected, or whether he just mistimed his attempted pull. Either way, didn't get anything on it. The ball dropped off the body down at his feet, and it is a dot ball. Hit him round about the sort of waist, just above the left thigh. Wood is in and bowls again short, pulled around the corner for 4, couldn't quite get there, diving away to his left. Lewis Hill at that short fine leg position, and again the outfield here at the Uptonsteel County Ground is very, very fast. A little bit of rain in recent days notwithstanding, it is still lightning fast, and down the slight slope there, if it goes past you, you are not going to chase it down. So Anderson, like several before him, off the mark with a boundary, but none of those have been able to go on. Will he be able to go on? Half Swedish, Martin Anderson, as in goes Wood. Bowls to him. Again, it's short. Again, he's walking down the wicket, and again, he's missing the pull. Thumps into the body, drops out into the offside, and that is the end of Wood's over. His second. Picked up a wicket in it. 1 for 13 he's got now, but if you had offered Leicestershire, Derbyshire would be 39 for 4 after the power play, I think they would have taken it.
Absolutely. Anderson with a very strange approach to that end of the over. I'd suggest he's got the opportunity to bed in a little bit, and as you've said, Richard, there's real hope in terms of established batsmen. He's walking down the track trying to flick it into the leg side.
A bit of movement there.
Tom Scriven will bowl his first over. He's been a vital part of the county championship team, has Scriven with bat and ball. It must be one of the best number 11s in county championship history, Tom Scriven.
He's
number 8, isn't he? He's number 8 batting at number 11.
Yeah, he could bat 7 really.
Yeah.
He's got that sort of ability, so yes, to see him at 11 is a bit ridiculous really.
And here he is running away from us. His first delivery is for Sam Patel. It's a straight delivery and it's no run. You'll have a half Dane bowling at a half Swede, won't you? Yes. In a minute.
Scandi
Vibe to this. It's Scriven, or as he told us, didn't he? It should be Scriven. in Danish. I presume he's got a Danish dad, hasn't he?
I think that's the way around. And Martin Anderson's mum is Swedish, so.
And here he is then, 88 on his back, past the umpire now. He bowls, and that's played into the ground by Patel. He's trying to late cut, but played it into the floor right in front of his wickets. There is no run, so we've had 2 balls of the 7th over. 39 for 4 is the score. It's a pleasant evening in Ayleston. Not balmy, but there's a sort of surprising late evening heat about it.
Not bad for May, is it?
Yeah, not bad at all. Scriven to Patel, who's 9 not out off 11 deliveries. In comes Scriven, short delivery, pulled round the corner, but that caught Patel out. He's onto him very quickly. He doesn't time it at all as it rolls into the leg side, forward of square, and he gets a single. And now we do have the half Swede against the half Dane. Have you watched the bridge, Richard?
No, I haven't actually. I've heard about it.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
But that's you have a Swedish detective and a Danish detective solving mystery.
19 championship wickets for Tom Scriven so far this season.
His blonde hair bounces as he runs in up to the wicket, bowls a full delivery. It's down the leg side, and even though Anderson had moved right across his stumps, I think Scriven was trying to catch him out with him walking right across, try and get him on the legs, get his leg stump, but he just ever so inaccurate, and so he will have to bowl that delivery again. 3-time winners Leicestershire, against the team who were one of 4 teams to never win it, and they were the last team, weren't they, to make it to finals day, I think, Derbyshire. Scriven is up to the wicket now. He bowls down the pitch, comes Anderson again, and inside edges. It's a shot at the stumps because Patel had come down the pitch, and Scriven was alert to that, threw at the stumps. He missed. I think Patel might have been in. Well, he was gone.
I'm pretty sure he was gone if that throw had hit. Lots of hands on heads out there. We'll check the replay. He has. It took him quite a moment to. Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah, he was gone. You're right. He really
putting on the brakes and
Patel.
turning is quite hard for Samit when he's got momentum.
Scriven, right arm over the wicket to the right-handed Anderson, who stands tall, bat raised, slightly crouched. The Scriven is in, driven pleasantly, and that's beaten Kimber at mid-off and will race away for 4. That's the most orthodox shot he's played, Anderson, and he got rewarded for it. Nice cover drive, got his front foot to the pitch of the ball, drove it through cover. And Anderson up to 8 off 5, 45 for 4 is the score. Final ball at the 7th over to come.
Yeah, just a bit too much width, a little bit too full. He was out there to be driven, and driven it was very nicely. Proper cricket.
Scriven it is, his elbows jutting out as he builds up a head of steam. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and there's a thick outside edge. Anderson might tell me he guided that, and they just go for a single down to third man, a wide third man, and that is the end of the over. 46 for 4. 7 off the over. Not too bad from Scriven. And Patel was disappointed there. I think he wanted the strike. Anderson's been hogging it. Patel is 10. Anderson is 9. 46 for 4 is the score. 7 overs gone. BBC Radio Leicester. And I've just realised we've missed our opportunity to get to Letitia, which I presume we've done already. So thank you for sticking with us on DAB. Is that why you checked your watch then?
Suddenly realised it was after 7. Apologies, folks. But Liam Travaskis is in from the Bennett end. This could be interesting, left-arm spinner, and he is a little bit squared up there, Anderson. I think he was trying to hit that an awful lot straighter than the ball actually flew off through a straightish extra cover, and it was in the air for a few feet as well, so it might just have straightened a little bit for Travaskis, and the Derbyshire spinner, particularly the younger Afghan, will be watching with interest. Field, he's got a deep mid-wicket, he's got a long on, long off and deep backward square as he bowls to Samit Patel, who whips him away. Fullish delivery, it's very straight through the onside, down towards long on, takes 1.
Travaskis can feel very hard done by, can't he? When he was signed, you sort of thought it was a really smart sign. He'd done so well in the T20s, but Rahan Ahmed's kept him out, really.
Bowls, and Fullish again, clipped by Anderson. Same shot almost out towards long on, and 1 is taken. Gets Van Beek out there. So just the single one, just the one close fielder on the leg side as Travaskis is in to Patel. Same again, 3 in a row. He sort of followed him a bit. Patel backed away to try and make a bit of room, try and drive it away through the offside. Travaskis followed him, and Patel could only clip it out to long on again. It's going to be a key position. Potentially, Salisbury's gone to short fine leg. That one is outside off stump, steered by Anderson pleasantly out towards backward point. Roman Walker's out there. Who's gone off? Somebody's gone off then. And Walker has a very, very good arm. Got his throw away quickly, kept it to 1. The 50 up for the Falcons as Travaskis is in to Patel. Again, backs away, hits high towards long off. Is he going to be caught? He is caught! Patel is caught, running along the ropes. Brilliant piece of work. It looked as though it was going to clear long off, looked as though it was going to go 4-6, but he didn't get quite enough on it. He looks hugely disappointed. In fact, he stood almost in disbelief there for a moment, Samit Patel, but the catch was really well taken, and that is really big. Patel goes caught at long off for 12, and the Falcons have lost their 5th wicket with just 51 runs on the board. Van Beek it was running along the ropes out there, and well, he has a very good pair of hands. As I've described him as an athlete already, and he made what looked a pretty hard catch to me. Looked fairly straightforward actually in the end.
It was right on the boundary rope, wasn't it? And it was away from him. He sort of had to take it in while running round, and it was away from him. It was a very good catch that he made it simple. And this is a fantastic start for Leicestershire. They couldn't have dreamed it better. And they frustrated Patel, Leicestershire. They forced the error. Start of the new over, start of the 9th. Tom Scriven will bowl, and it's clipped into the leg side by Anderson, who will move on to 13. Patel was kept off the strike, and when he was on strike, he wasn't scoring runs, and Leicestershire forced that error. Travaskis tossing the ball up, tempting him, and as you say, the long off taking it. So 52 for 5. Scriven's figures 1.1 overs, 8 runs conceded. And it is Ross Whitley who is the new man. Former Hampshire and Worcestershire man. And Scriven, he's got a more angular run up to the left-handed. Whitley is in, bowls. It's defended by Whitley, but he cleverly guides it into the leg side straight. And we'll get a single to mid-on. He's off the mark.
What this means is that Derbyshire will really have to push it around a little bit. They can't take too many risks, these two. Leicestershire can look to restrict now.
Scriven, his 3rd ball of the over. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. Back goes Anderson and whips it into the leg side. They get a simple single. And the score moves on to 54 for 5. The field then, obviously with fewer fielding restrictions now, we're out of the power play. We've got to the left-handed Whiteley. We've got a deep mid-wicket, deep backward square leg. We've got a deep cover. 3rd man fine leg. 2 men straight are up. Here's Scriven. In bowls, it's driven, flashed away square of the wicket. There is a fielder out there. It's a test for Walker, who does well on the boundary square of the wicket, and there is that arm that you were talking about, wonderfully fielded by Walker, who threw as he was getting up to try and stop the second. He didn't succeed, however, and they move on to 56 for 5.
Trying to work out who's off. Is it Lewis Hill off? Is Lewis out there?
That's not Lewis Hill there at point.
Could be. Trying to work.
Scriven past the umpire now. Bowls, a slower delivery. Pleasantly driven, handsomely driven by Whiteley up to Massud. 94 on his back.
That's Travaskis at point. Walker for Hill isn't a bad swap from a fielding point of view.
Former wicketkeeper, of course. Spent most of his time behind the stumps, hasn't he? Other scores in the North Division. Northamptonshire going along at a rollicking old pace against Yorkshire as Scriven is in. Bowls a full delivery, 2 straight, and it's clipped into the leg side. Massud will field well on the square boundary on the leg side, and fielded by Budinger, who relays that with him. End of the 9th over. The score is 58 for 5. Anderson is 14. Whitley is 5. Northamptonshire 105 for 1 against Yorkshire after 10 overs. That's who's going well there. Vaskan Salos going well there, and Britska, they're South African. Birmingham Bears 82 for 3 at Notts.
Walker sprinting off now, so Leicestershire back to their starting 11 as Travaskis is in and bowls, driven carefully by Anderson, made sure he steered it wide of Hill, who's back out there now at sort of wide-ish mid-off, or extra cover really. There is a long off behind him, covering Van Beek, and Anderson has to settle for 1. Innings depends on him to a large extent now. He will have to sort of play kind of anchor role in as much as you ever can have one in T20 cricket, but they need him to be there with just a couple of overs to go and try and get a sort of 60-70. In goes Travaskis, fires it in towards Whiteley's pads. He just waits for it and blocks it out through that vacant mid-on area down towards long on. 1 is taken.
It's got quite a sort of mechanical action, hasn't he? But it's very effective, allows the variation.
Steps in and bowls, tosses that one up, driven on the full by Anderson. But he has to sort of check the shot slightly, and had it been 60 for 1, something like that, he would have really sort of tried to lace that away through wide extra cover. As it is, he steered it out towards Salisbury. On the cover boundary, takes 1. Travaskis goes over the wicket to the left-handed Whiteley. Again, fires it in towards the toes. Again, clipped calmly through a straight mid-on to long on for 1. Singles off every delivery, the first 4 balls so far of the over. Coming towards the halfway point, Travaskis is in, waits for that one, Anderson, and turns it off his legs down towards deep backward square. Takes a single, moves on to 17, beg your pardon, off 14 to him. Changes to the field. Salisbury's been sent wider at deep mid wicket in front of this is a well populated Uptonsteel stand. In goes Travaskis, bowls very quickly as well, just keeps firing it in, and on the back foot Whiteley turns it out towards wide-ish long on. So singles off every ball of the over. Leicestershire prepared to take that. 64 for 5 at the halfway point. They would most definitely have been prepared to take that at the start of play.
Yeah, just to run a ball. So what, they're on track for about 130 at the moment, Richard? 30, 140?
What is it, Adam, you say? Double the score after 12, haven't we?
Yes, yeah, that's what I say.
So let us see what we are after. They are after 12, and we'll go from there.
I love how you're taking religiously a opinion that you don't agree with. So, a bit of grey cloud over towards our right-hand side that's coming over the top, but I don't think it'll cause us any damage. And Salisbury will bowl his 3rd over. 1 for 10 off his 2 so far, and he ambles in now, bowling to the left-handed Whiteley. It's a straight delivery, tiny bit too straight with a bit of movement into the left-hander, and he guides it away on the leg side, square of the wicket, and will get a single for his trouble. 65 for 5. Other games elsewhere, I gave you the North Group games. Surrey 75 for 2 against Somerset. Gloucestershire, 17 for no loss against Gloucestershire. And Hampshire 29 for no loss off 3 against Essex. Those 2 games, those last 2 started at 7. Salisbury past the umpire, throws this one down short of a length, and they'll get a single out to deep backward square leg where it's fielded. Who's that fielding? Is that Patel? Yep.
With shocking pink boots on. Absolutely.
I don't want to sound like an old
lurid
fart.
pink, aren't they?
I'm not a fan of the coloured boots. Particularly, it's always such a risk because, as you can see from Patel, if you have to wear sort of slightly garish green colours, it's quite a clash. Here is Salisbury past the umpire, bowls. Oh, it's a beauty! Length ball, and I think he slowed that down. Might have been a cutter, an off cutter, back into the left-handed Whiteley, and it had him sort of through the shot early and bent over, trying to sort of dangle at it. Beautiful delivery from Salisbury. Leicestershire's bowlers on top form right now. I'm not sure it did move that much, actually. I thought it moved as well. I think it was just a clever, slower ball. What's his reply going to be? And he comes, hit on the pad, appeal for leg before wicket. It is not given. The umpire dismissively walks away. Doesn't even entertain the appeal.
No, it's not what you want to see when you turn in mid-appeal and the umpire's sort of 3 yards away walking from the pit. Stump. Oh, right. Look, closest, didn't it? Maybe pitched outside.
Like 67 for 5, and then went down to 6.3.
Oh,
yeah,
pitched miles outside leg. Fair enough.
Was totally
umpire Bailey. That's why he's walking away.
18 on his back, Salisbury. Dark brown hair. He's past the umpire. He bowls, clipped into the leg side, bounces and bobbles on the turf over the pitches, and is fielded by Patel in those bright boots. And there's another single. So just 4 off the over so far from the 5 deliveries.
Can he come out of it well?
And Louis Kimber's start as captain couldn't have gone much better. There's a long way to go in this innings. Renowned to the all-rounders. Anderson an established batsman, but Whitley an all-rounder. 68 for 5 is the score. T20 blast action, BBC Radio Leicester, Adam Whitty and Richard Ray with you. Here is Matt Salisbury in bowls. That's clipped round the leg side. It was aerial, and it bounces in front of fine leg a good 10 metres or so. And so is that Travaskis down there? Can't make the attempted catch on it. So it's another single and a successful over. 5 off it in the end. And so the score is 69 for 5 is the score at the 11 over mark. And I'm sure the Leicestershire faithful will be enjoying this very much indeed.
Well, we suggested in the preview that Louis Kimber would probably have to try and bowl an over or two himself, and he does turn the ball. He's an off spinner. He's tall, Kimber, and he is going to have a little go from the Bennett end. So it may also be that the wicket is just turning a little bit. He's going to bowl round the wicket to Ross Whitley, who hits him high towards long off and over long off for 6. It was quite flat, in fact, and I thought for a moment that Travaskis might be in the game. He had to move to his right, and he did dive upwards to his right like a goalkeeper. Never really looked as though he believed he was going to get there, but 6 to Whitley as Kimber is in. Tosses that one up, driven this time into the ground and through mid-off out to Travaskis, who forms the long barrier. So single to Whitley, moves on to 16. Dangerous hitter, the Yorkshireman, he can be on his day. 3,364 T20 runs to his name coming into this game, as staying round the wicket, Kimber bowls to Anderson, who goes back, just calmly chips it, really works it out towards mid-wicket and jogs the single. So as I suggested, Anderson will sort of play the chip it around anchor roll and for a while any rate, and Whiteley is more likely to try and give it the long handle. In goes Kimber, bowls to him, drops a little bit short, dragged down a bit, but it's straightish, outside off stump, just outside, and Whiteley goes back and doesn't quite time it, chops it down into the ground through the offside for 1. Plenty of cover out there on the offside boundary for Louis Kimber. They both retreat to the leg side boundary now as Kimber round the wicket to Anderson, who is down the wicket, just pushing it out into the cover. Sam Wood quickly onto the ball to field at extra cover, and that is a welcome dot ball for Louis Kimber. Most expensive over, I think, so far. 9 from it with that 6 as he is in, and bowls an attempted reverse paddle sweep by Anderson. Does not connect. So Kimber in the end, after conceding a 6 from the first ball, comes out of the over rather well. Just conceded 3 from the last 5 balls. And in the circumstances, he'll be quite relieved about that. 78 for 5 after 12.
He saw that coming, didn't he, the reverse sweep, and just with his action, with his physicality, he really can throw it down at some pace. So it's just too quick and too wide for him. So Anderson 20, Whiteley 18, 78 for 5, 12 overs gone. So these pizza pods over to our left-hand side. What do you call them?
Is that what they're called?
They're pizza pods.
Pizza pods.
I think there's a pizza over
Not
around
hobbit
there.
holes.
I don't think that's the advertising name they've been given, Richard, but I think that paints the picture. Scriven to bowl his third over. It's a slower ball to start off with, outside off stump, and it's driven by Whitley. He doesn't time it properly. It goes square of the wicket out to deep point, and there is a single taken. 79 for 5.
Martin Anderson's into The Lord of the Rings. It's his favourite films, he says. He can watch any of them at any time. See, or only connect. Orbit holes, Anderson.
So I have a confession now. I've never been able to get past the first hour of the first film.
What? Oh.
I find them incredibly tiresome. As Scriven is in, up to the wicket, he bowls, and it's straight on the leg stump, and it's whipped away into the leg side. It's fielded well by Logan Van Beek, who whips it in with his right hand into the wicket-keeper Ben Cox, and there is another single. Yeah, I couldn't leave Hobbitland, or whatever it's called.
The Shire.
The Shire. Tom Scriven in, bowl, slower ball again on off stump, and forward comes Whitley and drives it. Again mistimed to Shan Massud. Wonder what Massud is making of Leicester. He will have sampled Derby, plenty. Don't think he's played for Notts, has he?
No.
He's been to a few English counties, hasn't he? He's played for quite a few in this competition. Scriven, fair-haired, running away from us at the pavilion end. He bowls down on the leg side. He tried to catch Anderson out as he charged down the track, but he was too wide for him, and Anderson sensibly let it go to his left, and it was stopped by Ben Cox behind the stumps. 2.5 overs for 18. The bowling figures will look very good indeed from a Leicestershire perspective at the moment. I'll bring those to you in a moment as Scriven bowls the fourth ball of his third over. Full delivery, driven from the bottom of the bat. It's very well played by Anderson, actually. It's one of the better timed shots he's played. And he gets 2 for his trouble through cover. It escaped the dive of Massud, but not of Louis Kimber. So 83 for 5 is the score. Whitley on to 20. These two building a pretty handsome partnership, a vital partnership for them. Van Beek going at 7.5 and over. Salisbury 4.5. Wood 6.5. Scriven up to the wicket. Bowls a straight delivery, and Whitley's moved across the stumps and clips it behind square on the leg side. He picks up a single. Scriven just above 7 and over now. 5.5 for Travaskis. That run rate 6.5 and over. With these two in, if you do have 2 batters in towards the end of the innings, no matter I mean, Anderson's an established batsman, very experienced. Whitley more of an all-rounder, but they can cause trouble if they're in. Scriven, well, the final ball of his third over, short delivery, and he caught Anderson, who was charging down the track, and he pulls it into the floor, and it squirts away into the leg side for a single. 85 for 5. Good bowling from Scriven. He has outwitted his Scandinavian brethren. And 0 for 21 from his 3 overs.
Yeah, saw him coming, didn't he, and banged it in. But it is a decent partnership. What is it now, 34? But they have had to play, for the most part, in a relatively restrained way for T20. They're just looking now to get some sort of platform to get a score on the board. Only 7 overs remaining. 10 and over only gets them 155 as Travaskis is in, hit hard back to him on the bounce. A little bit of a crowd catch, but a knowledgeable crowd in at the Uptonsteel tonight, and they weren't fooled. Travaskis in again to Anderson. Bowls wide outside off stump, makes him reach for the ball. He does successfully, and drives it away through the offside, but only as far as Massud out there on the cover boundary. Runs back towards mid-wicket, the mid-wicket boundary for the left-handed Ross Whitley. All changes. Travaskis goes over the wicket, bowls. Whitley hits him very hard, very straight, 4-4, 1 bounce. 4, very hard, very straight. As I say, no chance at all for Long Gone, who's quite wide actually to get across and cover, and all he can do is run in front of the black screen, throw the ball back to umpire Baldwin to inspect. 4 taken. Whitley on to 25, Anderson 24 as Travaskis is in. Bowls to him outside off stump, hit over extra cover for 4 more. So the Whitley charge is coming now, just for half a moment, Travaskis might have thought that extra cover. Budinger was in the game. He leapt up into the air. He's probably Leicestershire's best fielder, Sol Budinger, but he's not the tallest. And although he leapt high into the air, his fingers couldn't get to the ball. And Whitley starts the over with consecutive boundaries. Travaskis under pressure really for the first time. Goes round the wicket, bowls to Whitley, who whips him off his legs down towards deep backward square. But so with those two boundaries, he can afford to take one, get Anderson back down on strike. One ball to go in the over. 95 for 5, 40 the partnership now for the 6th wicket. As Travaskis goes round to the right-handed Anderson, bowls straight, worked out towards mid-on. Anderson waited, Whitley was going anyway, and the two crossed certainly far closer to the strikers' wicket than the non-strikers, but Travaskis couldn't pick up the ball cleanly, so in the end it was a fairly safe run. 14 overs gone, 96 for 5, so 11 off that over, the most expensive I think so far. Travaskis 1 for 22 from 3.
I don't think Travaskis will mind it that much, even though he was down on one knee, looking incredibly disappointed at the end of that over. So there were a few close shaves for Whitley, who's just come back playing in the Cayman T10 last night.
Oh, that must be nice.
Yeah, I bet. It's about 2 hours work, and then you get to hang around in the Caribbean for the rest of the time. Scriven will bowl his final over from the pavilion end. He's running away from us, and he bowls a slower ball as Anderson comes running down the track and drives him down towards Sam Wood, who fields, and on one bounce throws it in where Scriven catches the ball in front of his chest. Field-wise, we have a man out at deep cover for the left-handed Whitley. Fine leg, deep backward square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on. As Whitley angles his run up, so Scriven angles his run up, and that's down the leg side. He didn't angle it quite well enough to direct that ball, and despite Whitley trying to heave it away on the leg side, he'll have to bowl that one again. Jack Rafferty's not happy about the fact that they don't like Lord of the Rings, by the way.
Jack Rafferty's right.
It's all the Gandalf nonsense. And the dancing and the fairs and stuff. Here's Scriven in, bowls. That's a slog, and that's over the top of long on, and that's gone for a one bounce 4. And Whitley is now motoring.
Might have gone all the way. Just checking umpire Bailey. Yeah, 4 it is.
The side screen is in front of us. So
you see through the slats.
Thank you for highlighting the fact that I guessed slightly there, Richard.
No, it's a, you might, if you look at it at a certain angle, you can. It's a sort of oddly slatted thing that you can just see through. So it might have been you had the right angle.
I was joking. I was slightly guessing. Scriven. That's the first Leicestershire chance. Pipe up. Here's Scriven in, bowls. That's a much better delivery. Straight, decent length, and all Whitley can do is push at it and get an inside edge, a thick inside edge down the ground where Kimber fields at long on. 103 for 5 is the score. Whitley 35 of 22. Anderson going on a run of ball 26. Halfway through the 15th over. That run rate over 7 now. Still very manageable. As Scriven bounces as he starts his run up now. Bowls to the right-handed Anderson, who goes for a hook shot and doesn't connect properly. It goes straight down the wicket, and he will get 2 more for his trouble. 28 of 27 he is.
50 partnership.
How vital was that? It was a dire straits for Derbyshire when they came in. They've played watchfully. Whitley in particular started to motor, but he played in a very responsible manner at the start of his innings. Anderson has been there as the main anchor for it, and he's done well, the ex-Middlesex man. Scriven running away from us. He's past the umpire. He bowls, and that's driven down the ground very straight, and it goes for 4. 2 well hit for Wood down at long on, and that races away for 4 runs.
It is a bit of a danger with Tom Scriven if he isn't sort of altering his pace a bit in this form of the game. With the red ball, it nearly always swings it. He moves it around, and he makes it very hard for the batters. But if it stopped swinging, and the white ball obviously has now, then he can go around the park.
Right-handed Anderson faces Scriven, cuts him, and that's 4. Behind square, him too much width, and Anderson creamed him for 4, beating the short third man. And backward point. And so 15 overs gone. And the score is 113 for 5. That run rate up to 7.35. And they really are starting to motor Derbyshire. They've picked up how many off that over there, Richard?
16.
Yeah.
13 and 4. No, 17. Beg your pardon.
17 off the over. That's their best by some distance, Derbyshire. They're finding a foothold in the innings. We've got the camera out. The big screen waved at those hobbit holes, Richard. People enjoying their pizzas.
The Geary bar has been transformed into a bar dedicated to another brewer, famous one, associated with Ireland. And it's doing good business at the moment. Derbyshire are doing good business at the moment in the form of Martin Anderson and Ross Whitley. And they've taken 28 off the last 2 overs, and momentum has shifted slightly. Foxes could do with a breakthrough. They're still on top, but they don't want this to build too much further. Matt Salisbury's back, trying to end it. Slower ball. Whiteley drives straight out to mid-off. Kimber picks up on the edge of the circle, doesn't bother throwing the ball at the stumps. Both batsmen went straight away. Comfortable single in those circumstances.
1 for 15 off 3.1 overs, Salisbury. He has been very mean indeed.
Did Scriven go for 40 then off his 4 in the end? I think it was fairly close to it.
Have a look.
Might have been a bit more, in fact.
It was 38.
38 in the end. Difficult overs in the middle, but he'll be disappointed with some of the deliveries, especially towards the end. Salisbury runs in and bowls down the leg side. Slower ball that goes down the leg side, will be signalled wide, but umpire had to wait, Paul Baldwin, because it bounced strangely. It hit the drainage cover and bounced up, and Ben Cox had to adjust. The bowlers from this end, from the pavilion end, have had a bit of a problem with that drainage cover. Van Beek was standing, one of his footmarks was right on it. Didn't seem to worry him any. Just got on with it, but kind of helped. Salisbury in again to Anderson, again down the leg side, and again that will be signalled wide, consecutive wides. And he's going to have to crack on. Well, he's going to have to bowl straighter for a start, but he's also going to have to crack on. This won't be doing the Leicestershire over 8 any good in terms of the cut-off point, which is now 17 minutes away, and this is just the start of the 16th over. Salisbury is in, bowls. Anderson steps across his stumps and whips it away past short fine leg to the long leg boundary for 4. So the runs continue to flow for these 2 Derbyshire middle order batsmen. He knew how Anderson would play, and Whiteley's made good runs against Leicestershire in the past and is doing so again here. And this partnership is turning things around for the Falcons somewhat. They were, remember, 51 for 5 at the start of the 8th over.
There was always going to be a partnership, you thought, but they need to end it soonish. 170 is a reasonable target, I think, at these points, if these two stay together.
They'd take that from 51 for 5. Salisbury's in, bowls a slower ball, waits for it. Anderson just nibbles it around the corner, having got his 4. That's fine, and with the 2 wides, the previous deliveries, then good over so far. That's only 3 balls, legitimate deliveries bowled in it, and they have already added 8 to their score in the over, the Falcons.
Salisbury's figures being ruined as well. It was 3 overs, 1 for 14 at the start of it.
He's going to stay over the wicket to the left-handed Ross Whiteley. Comes in and bowls short, good slower ball bouncer, and well, Whiteley got in position to try and hit it somewhere over the electronic scoreboard at deep mid-wicket, but in the end didn't go through with his shot, because he would have probably top-edged it very high had he done so. Another over 2, and he might well go through with the shot anyway, but just pulled out of it. Well bowled by Matt Salisbury. He's running in and bowling again to Whitley. Another slower ball smashed back at him, and theoretically a sort of caught and bowled opportunity. In fact, it was more about just stopping it, really. It was round about waist high, and maybe on another day your hands would have been pointing down, but Salisbury's hands were sort of still pointing up, and it was sort of reflex action to protect himself as much as anything.
Got winded watching that.
Slugged back at him. Sometimes they stick, don't they, into the tummy.
You're just glad you kept your fingers. None of them are broken when it gets smashed at you like that.
It would have been just Salisbury's luck had he done so. Bowls another slower ball, and Anderson this time goes back. Whiteley, having taken a single off the previous delivery, and nibbles it around the corner, takes one. End of the over, 123, so 10 off the over for Salisbury, and 4 overs to go. 40. They'll be looking for 50 off those 4 overs at least, and that gets you your 170, and you feel as though Derbyshire could well be in the game with that sort of score.
This has turned into a very competitive game. It looks like Leicestershire are going to roll Derbyshire over, but these two, with their partnership, have made this far more competitive. 1, 2, 3 for 5. 4 overs to go. The run rate heading up towards 8 and over, as we have a pleasant evening in Leicestershire. And it's Logan van Beek, 2 for 15 off his 2 overs. He comes in, bowls a straight delivery on leg stump. Anderson makes room for himself and handsomely clips it away into the leg side, just behind square where Rishi Patel is there waiting. 1 added to the total. Van Beek with a ripping start to the innings. 2 early dismissals, 1 with a peach of a Yorker to dismiss the very dangerous Wayne Madsen. And the Netherlands international, New Zealand born, started life very, very well here at Leicestershire. Whiteley, left-handed, 37 not out. Waits as Van Beek bowls, and he's got away with that, Van Beek, because it was a slower delivery down the leg side, which Whiteley was too early on. But it was not the most accurate delivery. Best possible scenarios, he guides it away into the leg side and gets a single. 1, 2, 5, 4, 5. He's played all over the world, T20 cricket, Van Beek. Played at the highest level, knows what he's doing. Curtain blonde hair runs away from us, and another slower ball. This time it's straighter on leg stump for the right-handed Anderson, who drives him to cover and gets a single, and everybody runs round. We've got a left-hand, right-hand combination. So the field changes. Travaskis hobbles his way across the pitch there.
He's got such a strange run. Slightly sort of bow-legged. It's a very characteristic run.
Shadows lengthening. As Van Beek is in, that's a horrible short delivery. That was barely, I think that was probably in his own half of the pitch, that one. And it's a wide down the leg side. That's a long hop and a horrible one. 1, 2, 7, 4, 5 now the score. And how long have these two been in? We've given you the run. It was 51 for 5 when they came in. Nearly been here for 10 overs. They need to dislodge this pair, otherwise they'll start to really free their arms. They can get them up towards 170, 180. Van Beek in, bowls, and that's hit down the ground and caught! Behind square on the leg side, fine, whipped away on the pull. And then fielder down at fine leg to the left-handed. Whiteley was able to catch it above his head. Picked him out, really.
Salisbury down there.
Picked him out, he barely had to move, took it at head height, and that ends a fantastic partnership for Derbyshire. 1, 2, 7 for 6 is the score. Whiteley has to depart for 37, but both he and Anderson have given Derbyshire hope of posting a competitive total. Van Beek gets the breakthrough, his 3rd wicket.
Yeah, great partnership. From 51 to 1, 2, 7, so 76 the partnership for the 6th wicket. And as Adam said, Whiteley, probably of the two, the danger man in terms of the last few overs, hits a bigger ball. But Zach Chappell, back on the ground where he started playing his cricket, he too can hit a very long ball. He's a big, strong chap, and very, very dangerous with bat in hand as well as ball. Obviously primarily a bowler, but he really can give the ball a clout.
come into counter-attack for the Falcons. Van Beek, right arm over the wicket, long run up, and he charges in now, past the umpire, he bowls, Chappell drives, getting his feet out the way to make room for the bat, and gets a single to cover. It's fielded by Travaskis, he's got sunglasses on. Leicestershire in their new kit, there's a blend of sort of red, dark green, light green.
Yeah, they had a competition to see who could to do, you know, for also anybody you could enter to design it, and that was the design that was chosen.
Van Beek running away from us at the pavilion end. Ball on length ball on off stump, which is softly driven square of the wicket by Anderson. He moves on to 45, and that is the end of the over. Leicestershire finally getting the breakthrough. Van Beek's figures 3 for 20, 129 for 6 is the score. We've had 17 overs, big 3 wicket, 3 overs remaining for both Derbyshire and Leicestershire. What you would slightly change Derbyshire's prognosis, would you probably say they're aiming for 160 at best now?
You would hope so from Leicestershire's point of view. You know, they'll still have sort of 170 in mind. As I say, Chappell can hit a long ball. Anderson will have to start opening his shoulders soon. He's played a really important knock for his side, and he's sort of keeping them just about in it, but you need to start finding the boundary soon. Sam Wood is back from the Bennett end, bowls to Martin Anderson, who steps away and cuts him for 4. Nice shot. Stepped away. Wood didn't really follow him. It was just outside off stump, and with third man up, no chance at all for a short third or backward point to get across. Bisected the 2 fielders and picks up 4, moves on to 49, 133 for 6. Nice shot from Anderson. Wood with that longish straight run is in and bowls short, whipped around the corner. That could be 4 too. He's bisected the 2 fielders, and they were on the boundary at deep backward square and long leg. You can hear the Derbyshire supporters now starting to give voice, and that is a very fine 50 from Martin Anderson. As I say, made a very good 100, his first in first-class cricket on this ground just a few weeks ago. Well, he's followed that up with a 50 in the T20, and he's got power to add, 53 off 37, and it just shows you if you hang around for a while against the white ball, you can start to score very quickly. His strike rate is a very good one, and if you play yourself in, you never know what might happen. Wood is in again. Anderson is walking down to him. He bowls short. He tries to whip him down the leg side. He gets a little bit of a sort of top part of the bat to it, but it rather trickles apologetically down the leg side towards Ben Cox, and as well that he got a little bit of something on it, because that might have been signalled wide otherwise. Dot ball. Hill still up on the edge of the circle. It's short fine, so it was a risky ball as well. Wood is in to Anderson, who holds his ground. Wood bowls straight and full, waits for it, pumps him up through the vacant mid-on area down towards the skipper, Louis Kimber, who's down there at long on, and takes 1. Anderson on to 54, 138 for 6.
Wood doing a very good job from a Leicestershire perspective here, keeping it tight, stopping certainly towards the latter end of this over.
9 off the first 4 balls of the Wood over. Hill retreats from short fine to long leg, deep backward square out. They know Chappell likes to hit big on the leg side, and they're packing the leg side boundary, and Chappell does hit out towards mid-wicket on the bounce, and it is 4. Good effort from Budinger, running along the ropes, got his right hand to it and tried to knock it back. He was over the ropes when he did so, but he was in the air and tried to sort of punch it almost back, with palm it back onto the field. He got a big hand to it, but he couldn't hit it hard enough, so to speak, to knock it back onto the field. So over continues to leak runs from Wood, who is in to finish it now. 3 boundaries from the first 5 balls. Bowls. Chappell could be caught. No, he won't be caught. Diving away to his left at extra cover. Travaskis couldn't get there. Looked like he was going to, as it was clothed rather off the top part of the bat by Chappell. It bounced past the outstretched fingers of Liam Travaskis as he ran around the inner circle, so to speak, and bounced out towards Rishi Patel. So single from it. Expensive over, 143 for 6, 14 from it from Sam Wood. That's going to happen at this stage of the innings, really. And, well, Foxes could just do with one more wicket, really. 143 for 6, but they'll be pleased enough with the position that they've got themselves into if they can finish strongly the last 2 overs.
Hear those Bhangra drummers, they're on the far side of the field. They've got orange vests on, bringing the atmosphere to the ground as we look to the final 2 overs, as Richard says. Chappell on strike, right-handed to Van Beek, and Van Beek bowls him a beauty. Slower ball, and Chappell was through his shot by the time that it come through to him. He tried to clobber it away on the leg side. There's 2 men out there, deep backward square leg and deep mid wicket. Very pleasant evening. Just the first sign of sort of evening chill coming through our commentary box window. But still everyone in t-shirts and shirts. As Van Beek's in, driven down the ground, too long on, and it's fielded by Louis Kimber, the captain, who on the bounce gathers it in front of his face. Single added, 144 for 6. 2 off the first 2. 1 off the first 2, I should say.
Just looking at some of the comments, there's something of a feeling among Fox's supporters that the Derbyshire have been led off the hook slightly. I'm not sure that is the case, to be honest. I think they've restricted them pretty well. Anything under around about 160.
Van Beek in shorter, and it's clubbed over towards the leg side and splits 2 fielders in 2. Very well placed shot. It didn't look like much of a shot at first, but it was perfectly placed. Forward of square, the pull shot, and perfectly split. Fielder at deep mid wicket and long on. And 4 more to Anderson. And the score now 148 for 6. We've got 9 balls left in the innings. I don't think Leicestershire have let Derbyshire off the hook. I think Derbyshire have actually played very, very well as Van Beek is in. He bowls, and that's whipped round the corner for 4. 2 straight, and he was able to guide it round very nicely for 4 runs. And now they are starting to motor towards the end.
Yeah, 150 up.
6. And Anderson, this is what happens when you've got a batsman who's in towards the end of the innings. And what I'd say just sort of sums up everything. There's never been a point where you felt that either he or Whitley were slogging. They've played pretty moderately, pretty sensibly, found the gap, played their shots along the floor. Really, they played the circumstances. As Van Beek runs away from us, he's in, bowls. That's going to be a wide outside off stump, and they're going to run through for a bye as well because it was spilt by Cox. So that's an expensive delivery. It's because Chappell moved away from his stumps. He moved back towards the leg side. So Van Beek tried to catch him out, but it was too wide. And then it came off the thigh of Cox. Fielded by short fine leg. 154 for 6. 2 balls left in the penultimate over. In comes Van Beek. Bowls. Short delivery. That's pulled again. And is brilliantly placed again. Same place, same result. 4 runs.
He's a very strong man, Zach Chappell. You kind of know where he's going to hit it. You just wonder whether Leicestershire have 1 extra man out on the leg side. You have to have 1 covering on the offside, but if you're going to bowl straight at Chappell, you're going to be hit to the leg side boundary, and you're going to have to cover it.
He's going to cow, isn't he? He's going cow corner. And I would have thought a fielder there, and the fielder has moved round, in fact. In comes Van Beek. He goes to the big hoik. It's up in the air on the offside. Will it be caught? No, it splits 2 fielders out there. Travaskis was running back, and Budinger was running forward, but it split them in 2 completely. Chappell very, very lucky indeed there. 13 he moves on to off 7 deliveries. He's got 1 over left. 160 for 6, and that 170 is well within range now. An expensive over there, Richard. That was
17
off in Van Beek. 3 for 37 his figures. And that 170 well within reach now, Richard. I discounted it a few overs ago, but Derbyshire can be very happy with the fact that they've got themselves in this position. Anderson 62, he will have the strike for the penultimate over, for the final over.
Yeah, a really good effort on the part of the Falcons to keep themselves in the game. It would have been easy for them to have been sort of bowled out for 120, 130. But Anderson in particular has been outstanding, really. 62 off 41 balls, and Whitley and now Chappell giving him really muscular support. Wood to finish the innings is in, bowled, doesn't bowl, he's done that once before, and he's opening over. He sort of got to the crease and went through his action and didn't deliver. Anderson wasn't really moving around too much. He didn't give him the charge or anything. Why is the wide coming up? I think that's slightly premature, given he didn't actually let the ball go. Who knows? Maybe he's looking to the future. In goes Wood and bowls. That's a decent shout for leg before. No, it's turned down. It was very full. Hit him on the toes. I think on the boot, certainly Anderson, as he tried to whip it away, possibly outside off stump. Obviously, if it didn't bounce, that's irrelevant, but I think it was just not going to hit the stumps. He'd got too far across. So, leg bite.
Looked a good shot. I'm just going to watch the replay here.
Oh, going down, actually.
Down.
Yeah,
quite comfortably.
going down. Wood is in to Chappell, short. Chappell tries to pull it into the middle of next week, doesn't get anything on it. I think it came off the back of the bat, so he did get something on it in a way, but not the part of the bat he was looking to use. Might even have been a bit of glove or arm, something like that, and it just sort of bounced out into the offside. And one is taken. Chappell on to 14, 162 for 6, 4 balls to go.
I think perhaps what we've learned, Richard, is that there's quite a bit of life in the pitch with the new ball in the first few overs, but then it
Wood is in bowls, looking for the Yorker, hit straight and long, and almost a brilliant catch, but a sensational piece of fielding by Salisbury, diving up to his left, got 2 hands to it, and there's a little bit of an unnecessary overthrow. So Anderson in the end picks up a couple, moves on to 66, but that was an extraordinarily athletic attempted catch down there on the long on boundary. 2 hands to it and kept it in play. Well, had he been able to hang on as well, but the throw actually hit the stump, so a little bit harsh to say anyone was at fault for the overthrows. Wood let it hit the stumps and it bounced off at an odd angle. Wood is in, bowls, slower ball to Anderson, who swings and misses. Well bowled, Sam Wood, 164 for 6, 2 balls to go.
4 balls off the 4 runs off the first 4 balls of this last over, Richard. He says about to jinx it, I'm sure.
I think they're still a fraction under par, but you're right, there has been a little bit in the pitch, so these runs are going to take some getting, and it's going to have to be at more than 8 and over for the Foxes, as Wood is in and bowls. Down the wicket goes Anderson, hits it high over extra cover. It's going to land safe. I don't think Travaskis is going to get there, not for the first time this afternoon. The left arm spinner ends up a little bit short running after it, picks it up and throws, but Anderson picks up 2 more, moves on to 66.
Horrible, isn't it?
Lots of sixes everywhere on that board.
Yeah.
66 out of 166 for 6.
It's horrible, isn't it, when you're running away from the ball, you've got your back essentially to it, it's up in the air, swirling and curving all over the place. Final ball then, 170. I think Derbyshire would rip your hands off for.
Wood to Anderson is in and bowls. Anderson hits it straight back, almost through Wood, who ducked out of the way of it. It goes for 4, and that is the 170, with Martin Anderson finishing on 70. A hugely impressive knock from the former Middlesex all-rounder, and he is an all-rounder as well. We can expect to see him bowl a little bit later on, but from the depths, if you like, of 51 for 5 at the close to the start of the 8th over, 170 for 6 is an impressive recovery by the Falcons, and Leicestershire have plenty to do to chase those runs down.
Yeah, so Anderson, as you say, with 66 not out. Whitley with 37, very, very handy. And Chappell, I think that 14 at the end from 8 deliveries was vital too. It's a good rearguard action from Derbyshire. They have given themselves a good shot at this. They've given themselves a competitive total. I think you're right, Richard. I still think that's under par. Leicestershire took advantage of the liveliness of the pitch and the swinging ball in the early overs. And if Derbyshire can do that, we've really got a game on. But I still think Leicestershire will fancy themselves when it comes to the chase in just a few minutes.
Well, gentlemen, we were almost talking about what a perfect start for Louis Kimber as captain taking over duties. These bowlers, there's been so much focus, Richard, on the bowlers, given how many are away for Leicestershire. In the end, do you think they'll be content with how they've done there?
No, probably not, but only because of and I think that there was something of a feeling that we got them for 100 making wicket. I think if somebody had set a star at 170, then they'd have probably felt okay, with the team that we have, we can put it down. But I think they will be a little bit disappointed in the end with the start that they had and how well Baker in particular was bowling.
I think the fact that it was mentioned in commentary, wasn't it? What the fans saying that Derbyshire, I think it was fair. It just felt like Derbyshire got away from them a little bit. It was a situation that they were in. I thought they played very well. I thought Anderson and Whitley particularly sensibly at the start and built their innings to done. You never. It's very rare for you to just completely play and get them off 60-70 and watch your way home. It doesn't happen very often. They're in a partner. Army played well, and they played the situation perfectly. I thought they didn't take too many risks. They played very well indeed. And at the end, certainly Anderson. But you could less too much. Maybe there was a few overs that allowed Derbyshire to build and score more aggressive, more quickly than they would have liked. But I definitely criticise Leicestershire too much for that.
Do you still have as favourite possibly, Richard?
Yes, he says with probably something like 55-45, something like that with the batting that they have. But they'll go a lot harder, I suspect, at the beginning. They're top loaded, and they don't want to get in that sort of 51 for 5 position because it is tough to recover, knowing the score that they're going to have to get. So yes, they are just the favourites, but not much.
Elton 71 will target Richard Adam will back shortly. Don't forget
Brilliant shot from Goldsworth.
That is got him.
Now very just as they are fighting hard.
Shot from Goldsworthy.
What a comeback that is. Got him.
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
as a left-handed batsman, again, fielders tight in on the offside. He comes forward to a length delivery from Ghazanfar and pushes it to short cover. So in terms of the power play, the 2 men out are down at long on and deep square leg. We've got a man in close at mid-wicket, man close in at cover 2, short fine leg. Very wide short third man. Ghazanfar is in, it's a beauty. Appeal for leg before wicket, big appeal, and the umpire's finger stays down. That looked like a big appeal, like a good appeal. That was in the replay.
All going down,
Just
actually.
going down. Tight
slipping
call
down.
1 for no loss. The target 171 for Leicestershire to get their campaign off with a win. 70 on his back, Ghazanfar. Curtained, dark black hair. And he brings his long on up and sends his mid off back. And now comes in. It's very skippy action. It's long hop and pulled round the corner. That should be 4. Terrible ball, punished by Budinger. Just came out, looked like it sort of fell out the bottom of his hand when he bowled it. And so it's a rank long hop down the leg side. And Budinger would be worth his salt if he couldn't pull that away. And he did. 5 for no loss, the first boundary from Budinger. 172 runs last year, which isn't too many. He got 150. The thing is, if he gets a 50, Leicestershire will win most of the time. As Ghazanfar is in, he bowls, that's down the leg side, and I'm not sure if Budinger got a clip on that, but it's going to go very fine down the leg side, race away to the fine leg boundary, and he did get a touch on it. So it is 9 for no loss. And after bowling some beauties first up, Ghazanfar, he's bowled a couple of gimmies to Budinger to allow him to settle in. 8 off 4 for the opener. He's batted pretty well in the county championship though, Budinger. Ghazanfar is in, tosses this one up, and that's down the leg side and wide. So you'll have to bowl that one again. 2 50s from Budinger. Just come out, plays very aggressively, the left-hander. Sun beginning to set at Grace Road. It's going to be a long evening though, it's very mild out there. As Ghazanfar is in, tosses this one up, Budinger goes big, and Budinger goes for 6 towards cow corner. Perfect length, he was able to come forward, Budinger, and crash it away on the half volley. And there's your first 6 of the day, and what an opening over that is for Leicestershire. 16 off it, 16 for no loss, and that's a much better start. A reminder that Derbyshire, after the first over, were 6 for 1.
Well, Derbyshire supporters will be scratching their heads a bit if that's the young mystery spinner. Well, good luck the rest of the tournament. That was a shocker of an over, really, from him.
There were a couple of beauties,
heart.
weren't there? He was, the first 3 balls went for 1, and then the following 4 were terrible.
You can have a kind of a look, but there was no real turn for him, and there wasn't too much sort of flight, really. And once Budinger had a good look, and a couple of drags down, well,
when you think about what Van Beek and what the pace bowlers did with their opening few overs, you don't get much movement with the white ball, and Leicestershire did so much with it, and they've just wasted one of the overs with it.
Nick
really.
Potts on debut, young fast bowler, bowls to Rishi Patel, who just leans forward, steers him away through the offside. That will go all the way, I suspect. Good dive. Oh, great stop. He's pushed it along the ropes. Is he going to finish up against the ropes? No, it isn't. He's going to run for, I think, Patel. That's extraordinary. Well, given that it is cut slightly to that side of the square and the speed of the outfield, I am amazed they managed to pick up the runs that they did there. In the end, Rishi Patel ran for it, just eluded the fielder chasing after it. He got there, Caleb Jewell, knocked it along the ropes for a good 10 yards, and in the end, Patel picks up 4 anyway. In goes Potts, bowls to him, he drives him for 4. Out there, outside off stump, he got on top of the bounce, and young Potts, well, put it in the slot slightly, and that is Rishi Patel's favourite shot, really. Drove it away stylishly, and no chance at all for Caleb Jewell to chase that one down. And if you're going to get 4, you might as well not run, and Rishi Patel didn't have to on that occasion, so he moves on to 9, 24 without loss after just 8 legitimate deliveries. Potts is in again and bowls. Patel drives a good diving stop away to his right by Wayne Madsen. Of course, it's Wayne Madsen with his elastic bandages on his arms, diving away to his right, saves 4.
Bowling 2 full Potts, I think. He's allowing Patel to drive at most of the deliveries. Trying a bit of width.
22-year-old from Staffordshire, making, as I say, his debut in this form of the game. Comes in from the Bennett end, bowls to Patel outside off stump, comes back a touch and goes inside Patel's rather airy attempt to drive it away through the offside. So that's better from Potts, who scrapes at the crease. Again, it didn't really carry through to the keeper though. Took it very low down in the end. I've never seen an Aaron Donald keep wicket, so it's an interesting move. Obviously they feel that they've got him in the side ahead of Brooke Guest, who was in the squad. In goes Potts, bowls straighter this time. Patel, with all the time in the world, just leans forward and works it up towards Gazanfar at mid-on. Again, there's no run.
Well, you said, I remember when the team was announced, you looked at it, this was off mark, and you went, who's the wicket keeper? Yeah.
It's Donald. I've seen him field in the slips plenty, so he's obviously got a good hands on him for Glamorgan over the years, but never seen him with the gloves on. As in goes Potts and bowls. Patel whips him over mid-wicket on the bounce. 1 bounce for 4. Well, again, so much time. The youngster just drifting on towards middle. Well, not really drifting on towards middle and leg. It was just the length, really. Patel hit through the line of the ball. Strong hands, and well, I don't think we'll see much more of Potts. He went in the end for 12, and after 2 overs the Foxes' chase couldn't have begun much better. They're 28 without loss.
Run rate at 14 and over, and the required rate is down under 8 already. These two have flown off at the start of the innings. It might be up to Zach Chappell, the bald-headed, very tall bowler. He's got good form here. He obviously knows this place very, very well. Played here for 3 seasons. Got 3 for 42 in the last meeting. And he stands at the pavilion end and now runs in. It's a nice ambling run up. He bowls to the left-handed Budinger. It's a slower ball first up, and it's driven by Budinger. Not a lot of foot movement. It was an extraordinary shot from Patel that on the last ball of the previous over. Not much back lift, not much follow through, but he timed it to perfection. Sort of bunted it down the ground. Superb shot. 28 for no loss. So the target 171 for Leicestershire to win and get their T20 campaign off to a winning start. Chappell it is, past the umpire. Budinger across his stumps, and he's caught out by Chappell a bit. He's took the pace off again, and Budinger just dabs it into the leg side where there's nobody in. Both the men on the boundary are out on the leg side, and so the left-handed Budinger gets a single. 29 for no loss. Budinger onto 15 from 7.
Still just sort of finding some sort of rhythm, Rishi Patel, after dislocating his thumb in the 2nd over of the season when he was fielding at slip at Glamorgan and missed 3 games as a consequence. 1 brilliant match-winning century against Northamptonshire, otherwise pretty much nothing. So he's finding his way.
Chappell in bowls. Back goes Patel, and that's a lovely shot for none off the back foot, and pushes it to backward point. Throws a bit ambitious. He's well backed up. What's the stat there? I wrote it down. 144 runs in the county championship so far, and 105 of them came in 1 innings.
That's about right. This competition could do him an awful lot of good.
Chappell bounds in up to the wicket. He bowls. It's a slow delivery again. Then forward comes Patel and pushes it into the offside. Deep cover is there, so a single is taken. If you remember that he's played some unbelievable innings in this competition. I remember he made an incredible century against Durham. I remember the innings against Northamptonshire last year. We got 100. Was just extraordinary. One of the best T20 innings I've seen live.
413 runs, Leicestershire's top scorer by a distance.
Chappell, right arm over the wicket to the left-handed Budinger. Budinger is there. He whips it in the air. He's going to pick out the fielder as he knows it's over his head. out to deep backward square leg. I thought he was in trouble for a second as he whipped it very quickly off leg stump over towards the fielder there, but it was over his head. 6 runs, and Budinger flying. He's into the 20s already of 8 deliveries. Leicestershire 36 for no loss. Derbyshire needs something, and quickly, if they're to get themselves back in this game, but Leicestershire won't mind at all. Chappell starts his run up and then stops to the 2 men out. In fact, as a result of that, the fielder out on the leg side has gone finer. Here's Chappell in, bowls, a slow delivery, edged and a thick outside edge. Patel calls him through, shot, the stumps misses. And Chappell's hit on the end of his fingers there as he was backing up off his own bowling. So that's the end of the over. 9 runs from it. 37 for no loss is the score. They need 131 to win off 17 overs, Leicestershire. They are chasing down 171 to win in the T20 Blast. Well, it's a lovely evening in Leicestershire. People enjoying there. I went down in the break, Richard, and some people enjoying the beers. Not a coat in sight. Good. Nice evening to have T20 cricket back.
And that's certainly been during the start Leicestershire have made, but young Potts has been taken off, not too surprisingly, and he's given way to the rather more experienced Pat Brown. This very much his form of the game, Brown. Got a wicked slower ball, famously bowled it often in the final for Worcestershire in his very early part of his career. Bowled short, it's hit up into the air by Budinger, but it's going to land safely and take the bounce, and 2 bounces over the fence down at 3rd man. He did hold it back slightly, Brown, there. Budinger, well, an extraordinary shot really, sort of almost down on one knee, tried to sort of lift it over short 3rd man, and he did, but it went very, very high. Chappell turned, chased after it, couldn't get under it, and of course with the slight slope on that side of the ground, just gathered a little bit of momentum and bounced over the ropes. So Budinger on to 26 off just 10 deliveries. 41 without loss after 3.1. Brown round the wicket, bowls. Budinger steps across. It's a slower ball, picks it all the way, hits it 1 bounce for 4. No real follow through. Had there been a follow through, I suspect that would have cleared the Bennett end. But Budinger picked it straight away, and perhaps that was the secret. Didn't try and overhit it, just smacked it back over his head. No great follow through, made sure he got plenty of power in and timing, and picks up another boundary. Moves on to 30 off just 11. Does this in the championship sometimes, but lovely if he went on. In goes Brown. He steps away and whips him around the corner for 4 more. Brown followed him, and he has very strong and flexible wrists, Sol Budinger. Brown followed him, but it was a little bit short. And Budinger with all the field up, pretty much. I remember only 2 men out. And Whitley down there at deep backward square, no chance at all. And it crossed the ropes at long leg for 4 more. So 3 consecutive 4s at the start of the Brown over. I was praising Brown's slower ball, but no real answers at the moment. The Derbyshire attack, 49 with off loss off
3.5 overs ago at 14 and over.
Of 21 legitimate deliveries. And the crowd are loving it as in comes Brown, bowls. Budinger steps back, hits over, mid-off. Is it going to go for 6? No, just to 4. 1 bounce 4, so 4 consecutive boundaries for Sol Budinger. That is 50 up already off just, 22 legitimate deliveries. What a start from Leicestershire. It's almost as good as its own ways, picking up 5 wickets off the first 8 overs with the bowlers. Let us hope, from Leicestershire's point of view, these 2 batsmen can continue in the same vein. Derbyshire badly need to break this partnership quickly. They are making the most of the power play. As Brown is in again to Budinger, who whips him down for 6 this time, down to fine leg. Little bit of a top edge, but it was a sort of pick-up sweep that's flown all the way down to fine leg and over the boundary for 6 more. 59 without loss. Budinger is on to 44 4, and we are only in the 4th over of the innings. It's come off just 14 balls. I'd love to know what the record is for a 50 in this competition. Lots of quickly consulting of record books, because I bet you it's not much more than 15 balls. But to do that, he'd have to hit a 6 off this delivery. Brown is in, he steps away, bowls very wide outside off stump, will be signalled wide. Although he stepped back, it was still outside the blue line, so he's been, understandably enough, put off his direction as well as lengths. Pat Brown here. To whom will Samit Patel turn next?
It was Jacob Bethel, got 15 ball 50.
So it was a 15 ball 50, right? Well, he's faced 15. Well, that doesn't count because it was a wide, so could still do it, could equal it. And he could have equalled it. He's hit it high over deep mid-wicket, 4, 6 more, and the groundsman catches it and celebrates, and no one will celebrate, though, more than Sol Budinger, who has just equalled, we believe, the fastest 50 in T20 cricket. 50 off just 15 balls for Sol Budinger. What a ridiculous over that was. 2 6s and 4 4s and a wide.
28? 29 off the over?
Yes, 29.
Goodness me. The third of the way there, Richard, from 4 overs. That's extraordinary over. Budinger hit his absolute best. Pat Brown will not have been tonked around the ground like that very much in his career. A record equalling 50 for Sol Budinger.
We believe so. Tell us if you know to the contrary, please. But we think Budinger has equalled Jacob Bethel's previous record.
So poor old Martin Anderson, who has to come in and bowl to Rishi Patel. And he comes in, bowls, and it's edged for 4. So from legitimate deliveries, we're now, what, 7 boundaries in a row. Leicestershire are storming free here. I've never seen anything like this, really, from Leicestershire. You've got to question Derbyshire's captaincy, I think, at the start of the innings, where they decided to play the spinner first and then the young man making his debut, and it sort of felt like Leicestershire had already got going by the point when the more established quicks got on. And Leicestershire showed you how to bowl on this pitch. Van Beek, they got their established seamers up right away, took lunch of wickets. In comes Anderson again, and the boundaries have stopped. Rishi Patel just guides this into the leg side.
There's a slight groan around the crowd there. 71 without loss.
The target's now 100 to win. We've still got 15.4 overs to go.
Rate required down to 6.4.
You just go and run a ball from here on in, you've won. I suggest that possibly Sol Budinger's got some weekend plans, some Friday night plans. He's got somewhere to be by the looks of things. 50 not out from 15 deliveries. Here comes Anderson, tall figure, meanders in slightly. It's a full delivery, it's a good Yorker that, and it goes to short fine leg. Well dug out by Budinger, who managed to make a shot out of that, and so he gets a single. 99 to win, the amount required under 100, and the win rate is at 16. As Anderson runs away from us, he's bowling at the pavilion end, and it's a slower Yorker, and Patel drives. It's fielded at mid-off, and there is a single. It sort of feels like the air's burst out the balloon. It's madness. And to the start that Leicestershire have had, nobody could have predicted that. Still in the power, we've still got an over left in the power play, Richard.
I think we can definitely say it's the fastest 50 for Leicestershire in T20 cricket, given Bethel's was the record. And given Leicestershire have won it 3 times, that's a bit of a landmark for Sol Budinger.
Anderson it is. Penultimate ball of his over. Budinger drives and is brilliantly caught at mid-off. Diving to his right-hand side. That's a fabulous catch by David Lloyd. To really dive. And a fantastic 50 has come to an end. A memorable one. Surely a record-breaking one too. Sol Budinger has put Leicestershire well on the way to victory in this T20 match. He has put them well on the way to victory.
He has, yes, but there's still quite a lot of runs to get.
Yeah.
best part of 100 runs to get. But yeah, they couldn't have had a better start, could they? What a knock from Budinger.
73 for 1 is the score. Leicestershire need 98 to win in 15.1 overs, but that was a lovely catch.
Looks disappointed, Sol Budinger, but I think inside he'll be pretty pleased.
100 was there for the taking. Now Louis Kimber in at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, they will have discussed this, but he won't have discussed coming in at 73 for 1 after 4.5 in terms of making the most out of the power play. I think that he'll still look to be positive, but if it, you know, I'd settle for taking 1 off his first ball.
So Anderson gets the breakthrough. He's conceded 7 runs off his first over. And Kimber is right-hander. Bat raised high, in comes Anderson, bowls, and Kimber tries a very ugly shot. It's a poor ball, back of a length, and tried to sort of play that club shot through mid-wicket to a back of a length delivery. It wasn't the right shot. 73 for 1 is the end of the 5 overs. So the target.
Chappell is going to bowl his second over of the power play and obviously of his spell. He's going to be bowling to Patel. As I say, they will continue to look to go big off this last over with the field still up, with the exception of a deep backward square and sort of square cover. Chappell then from the Bennett end down the slight slope bowls to Patel on the leg side, chipped over mid-wicket for 4. Lovely pick-up from Rishi Patel. Beautiful piece of timing. Again, the secret is in the timing, not the sort of swing. There is a nice arc to the swing, but it wasn't a violent swing. It was just picked up, and the middles these bats have these days is something else. And that just flew away over mid-wicket. And the boundaries continue to flow for the Foxes. Patel on to 24 off 13, 77 for 1. Chappell lopes in and bowls. Patel waits for it and just guides it down towards backward point. Madsen quickly to his left makes a stop and inevitably hurls the ball at the stumps, but Kimber had responded instantly to Patel's call and made his ground comfortably. The throw missing anyway. Patel on to 25, 78 for 1.
The economy rates for the bowlers for Derbyshire: 16 for Gazanfar, 12 for Potts, 11 for Chappell, 29 for Brown.
Wow. Chappell is into Kimber, who top edges him down towards third man for a 1 bounce 4. He was certainly trying to hit it straight, and Chappell, hands on hips, entitled to look a little unhappy about that, because really Kimber was beaten there. It was a slightly stand and deliver sort of shot, no great foot movement, trying to hit it over, well, straight basically, got a top edge, but again, well, the edges of the bats aren't bad either, as well as the middles, and that flew down to third man for a 1 bounce 4. Chappell is in again to Kimber, slower ball, slower Yorker as well, dug out by Kimber, just turns it back up the pitch to Chappell, who almost collides with Rishi Patel. Patel's quite a tall man, but Chappell makes him look quite small as the two almost collide there.
The thing with that previous shot, it's worth going for in the power play, because that would have been out in the rest of the innings, down to third man. But you can free your arms, and if you're a big powerful boy like Kimber, you'll get away with it most of the time.
Chappell is in. Patel lobs him up into the air. Somehow it goes just short of Lloyd running in from mid-off. Hands on heads all around the Derbyshire fielders there. I mean Kimber, sorry, because it... Did they take 1 then? No, it was Kimber, I beg your pardon. And he just looked to turn his wrists on it, and it chipped up towards David Lloyd, and it looked for all the world like either he or Patel was going to get there, but from the edge of the circle, neither could get there. Chappell in again to Kimber, who flashes it away through extra cover for 4. That was a poorer delivery from Zach Chappell, line and length just outside off stump, and Kimber got his weight on his front foot, didn't put a big stride in, but managed to get on top of the bounce and sort of drive it away through extra cover for 4. So what a power play for the Foxes. 86 for 1 at the end of it. The only man to go, Budinger, for an astonishing half-century made off just 15 balls, we believe equaling the T20 record.
see if we can find some of the fastest records.
Certainly it was a record for Leicestershire.
Equaling by the looks of it. 3 others did it. Gazanfar, 16 runs off his first over, and he's driven handsomely down the ground by Patel. 87 for 1 is the score. So 84 needed to win. They're over halfway, Leicestershire, already after just 6 overs. The run rate is at 14.1. They need to go to run a ball from here on in. Gazanfar was named in the ODI Team of the Year last year, the ICC team, from the entire world of cricket. He's put to the sword by Sol Budden during the opening over. So in terms of the field, we've got a short cover, short mid-wicket, short third man, short fine leg. We've got a deep cover, long on, long off. As Gazanfar is in, it's a clever delivery. It's a leg spinner. And Kimber went back to it and was slightly squared up and just pats it back to Gazanfar. The suggestion was from those of our colleagues next door at Radio Derby that he can spin it both ways. And he comes skipping in again. He bangs this one down and Kimber edges, but it's going to go for 4. It evades the man at short third man. Goes behind square on the offside for 4. Not a convincing shot. Kimber doesn't look like he's timing the ball overly well. But again, when you've got those big broad shoulders, you throw your arms at it. If you get anything on it, it's going to fly. 91 for 1, 80 to win. Target 171. And Leicestershire continuing to race away. The sun setting over to our right-hand side. A decent crowd in at Grace Road, enjoying this. So far, this start couldn't have gone much better. Gazanfar in, tosses this one up, and he's bowling. He's bowled Kimber, tried to make room for it. Massive celebration from Gazanfar. That was a beautifully floated delivery, and he bamboozled Kimber, knocking back his off stump. So Kimber goes for 12. Leicestershire lose their second wicket. They're 91 for 2. Kimber has to depart. Still 80 to win.
Probably the right man coming to the wicket now, as far as Leicestershire are concerned. This is an ideal situation for Massud to come in. They've got off to the more than a flyer, really. They've broken the back of the target to a certain extent, and you feel that Massud, with his correctness and his technique, can now just sort of knock it around to a certain extent in the way that Anderson did. And Leicestershire, if he does that, will get very comfortably across the line.
So the new man in is Massud, as Richard was saying, former Stanford school pupil. Don't know if he's done anything else with his career, but
I believe so.
I think it's just the 25,000 first-class runs in all formats. He knows this competition very well. So Massud, left-handed, with 2 men back already on the leg side. In comes Gazanfar round the wicket. That's a clever delivery coming back into the left-hander from Gazanfar, and it's played out to the offside. There is no run. 80 to win at 6 and over. So to run a ball. Leicestershire have gone at a rollicking pace. You're listening to T20 Blast Cricket, BBC Radio Leicester. Adam Whitty and Richard Ray with you. The floodlights on. Grace Road. In good voice, Gazanfar tosses this up, handsomely driven. That's a lovely shot from Shah Massud. All the quality in the world in that. It's a shot you'd want to take to dinner, that. 92 for 2, and Massud will keep the strike after the 7th over. The Foxes 92 for 2. They need 79 to win. In the other games, just give you the latest scores. In the North Group, Nottinghamshire are 56 for no loss, chasing down Birmingham's 226 for 5. And Northamptonshire, big total, 237 for 4. They posted. Yorkshire 60 for 3 with Headingley.
Well, the captain's bringing himself on now. Might have brought himself on in the power play, but decided not to, understandably enough. Such a canny and successful bowler over the years in this form of the game. Samit Patel, left arm spin of sorts, over the wicket. Down the wicket goes Massud and drives sumptuously out towards long off. There is a long off though. Now we're out of the power play, so just the one to Massud. He moves on to 2. 93 for 2. Just 78 more needed from 12 overs and 5 balls. Round the wicket goes Patel. Rishi Patel reaches forward and pushes the ball back up the pitch to his namesake.
It was an attempt to that, wasn't it?
Wasn't quite there to drive, though, was it? In he goes again. It's not quite there. Patel works it off his legs and thinks there's a single in it. No, 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 says Massud. Gazanpour does an Iron Donald no favours at all with a horrible throw, which bounces just in front of the Welshman. He manages to sort of stop it with his right gauntlet. No more than that. In goes Patel, bowls, slog swept on the bounce, 2 deep backward square. They jog the single, and if they're taking it quickly, because the fielder out there wasn't able to gather it cleanly, they might just have put him under pressure for a second. As it is, they settled for 1. No point taking any risks. Patel on to 27. Massud takes his time. Looks around him. Long on, long off. Deep extra mid-wicket. As Patel is in, he works it very straight. Nice strong wrists out towards long on and almost walks the single. But as I say, that is what these two can afford to do now. The rate required just 6. Just over as Samit bowls. Held that one back a bit. Pleasant delivery on off stump, just pushed by Rishi Patel out towards Madsen at extra cover. So just the 3 runs from the over. But that's okay as far as Leicestershire are concerned, because they're 95 for 2 after just 8. Their run rate is 12, so they need just 6.3.
76 required then off 12 overs. And it will be Gazanfar to bowl his 3rd over. 22 runs have been conceded, but he has got one of the wickets. In he comes, the Afghan. It tosses this one up. It's a quite quick one, though, of a good length. And it is clipped away into the leg side by Massud, who is now 4 from 5. On 2 overseas players this year. Massud with Van Beek the other. And Massud 70 on his back. They've got navy. So Gazanfar 70 on his back. Navy blue shirts and trousers. Tosses it up. Oh, he's bowled him. That's a beauty. Patel went for it. It was tossed up and it was bowled almost like a leg spinner, but came right back in at Patel. There's the mystery spin for you. And Patel had his eyes raised, his head up to the heavens, going for the big slog, but it's beaten him and castled him. And there's a 3rd wicket for Leicestershire. Derbyshire getting in back into this slowly but surely. Patel gone for 27 off 19. And here comes Lewis Hill. Again, a very good person to be coming to the crease at this period.
In this situation, yes. Didn't need to play that shot that aggressively.
That's why he's such a clever
Rishi
bowler,
Patel,
though. It was such a tempt.
I mean, he is an off spinner, but he did turn it, and the flight was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it drew Patel into a drive, and it span back through the gap. So well bowled. But again, the shot a little bit. Well, obviously it was mischosen, but good look to defend it. It was lovely stuff. Got to be careful.
2 for 23, Gazanfar's figures. So 75 needed to win for Leicestershire. They're 96 for 3, chasing 171 on the opening day of the T20 Blast.
That's a good recovery, isn't it? From 16 off your first over. Since when he's picked up 2 wickets and conceded only 7 runs from 1.2 overs.
3 wickets have fallen for 13 runs too. Leicestershire need to be careful, but they've got 2 very solid heads at the crease in Lewis Hill and Massud. It is Hill, right-hander, who's up first, and his first delivery doesn't time it properly. Hits the top of his bat and it goes square of the wicket, but it was in the air for a while. But he's 1 from 1, 97 for 3, 74 to win. There's a big banana out there, Richard, that's being chucked around. You've just missed it. It's disappeared behind the seats. It's been chucked around by some of the... it's been picked up. if you can see it there, Richard.
Oh, there it is.
There's the big banana. It's a man hot throwing it. Gazanfar, 3 balls to go in this over. This one's shorter and it's played into the offside and they scamper through for a single. Good call that from Hill, because it was quite close to the fielder, but it had enough room. So 98-4-3 the score. Sunny evening. Reminder, we've got Leicester Tigers, their final game of the regular season against Newcastle Falcons tomorrow. A point gets them a playoff, a win against the bottom side gets them a home semi-final next week at Welford Road, probably against Sale. Join us at 2 o'clock for that on BBC Radio Leicester. We kick everything off. The game kicks off at 3:05, as do all the other games. In comes Gazanfar. This one, a good leg, this hit up in the air and dropped! Dropped by Gazanfar. It was a dolly. His weight was going to his left, he had to come back to his right. But you would have thought he'd taken that, being the international cricketer that he is.
Wow.
And that's a big let-off for Lewis Hill, who was bamboozled by the spin. And Leicester should get a let-off. 98-3. If Hill was out then. It was a lot. It was a bit. Watching the replay, it was easier on review, wasn't it? Gazanfar, then final ball of his 3rd over, and he comes. Back goes Hill and glances into the leg side. There is no run. 98-3. So Derbyshire starting to strangle Leicestershire a little bit, but the problem is that the Foxes have got such a head start that they can allow themselves to do it. They're still going at 11 and over. They need to go at 6.5 in order to win this game and chase down 171. They need 73 to win. Off 11 overs. Northamptonshire next for Leicestershire on Sunday. We'll be live for that as well, so do join us.
Well, the problem for Samit Patel is that Gazanfar has now bowled 3 of his overs and he might want to hold one back. Patel is in and is driven, and he's got that one through Shan Massud past the diving backward point, running back from 3rd man. Gazanfar picks up and again does an Aaron Donald no favours with the throw, and Shan Massud has to settle for 2. 100 up for the Foxes. And we're only at the start of the 10th over. Patel is in, driven out into the offside. 1 bounce, stopped at deep cover, deep extra cover really, by Pat Brown. So Massud has to take just the single. A little bit more on that, and Brown would have been maybe looking to get his hands underneath the ball. Massud on to 8. Big job for him to do now, just to see. They can just play though. The rate required is only 6.6. They can just play these two, and they're both very experienced. Patel round the wicket to Hill, who clips him off his legs down towards deep square, takes the single. So 4 from the first 3 balls of the over. Fine as far as the Foxes are concerned. It's wickets that are going to win Derbyshire the game. Patel over the wicket to Massud, who is forward, wristily working it out towards long on. Might have thought about putting long under pressure, but Lloyd was quickly on to the ball, probably at the edge of the circle by the time he got there. And Massud takes 1, moves on to 9, 103. Round the wicket goes Samit Patel. Hill sweeps, slog sweeps in the air. It's going to be caught and is. And good work down there on the deep backward square boundary. The fielder had both feet very close to the ropes. And just to make sure, because his momentum was going backwards, he did throw it up into the air. Caleb Jewell, the Australian opener, out there, took it two-handed, then threw it up into the air, made sure it was back over the ropes. He did step back over the ropes, but the ball was in the air as he did so, and he completed a successful catch. So Hill, unnecessarily perhaps hitting the ball in the air, goes for 2. He raises his eyes to the heavens, shakes his head as he goes off. But the Foxes, well, they really shouldn't make a mess of this, but they've gone from, what was it?
73 for none.
Who was it saying that something about the game is almost won?
I think it was Radio Derby. 103 for 4, 68 to win. I
with one ball to go in the 10th.
Correct
so
you, I think I said that he put them well on the way to victory. I'd say 73 for no loss after about 4 overs is well on the way to victory.
it is, in fairness, it is. But there was a lot of work still to do, and there still is. 68 needed off the last 10. Sounds straightforward, but they've lost 4 top-order wickets now. Ben Cox faces Samit Patel. He goes forward, excuse me, and pushes it out into the offside, and that is the end of a successful over for Samit Patel. 1 for 8 from 2 overs for the canny Samit Patel. Shan Massud 9 off 9. Cox yet to score, and what was looking like a stroll in the park for the Foxes is turning into a little bit more of a struggle. 103 for 4 after 10.
So just on Budinger, by the way, in fact, it is the fastest 50 by a Leicestershire player. I'm just asking who that was, who it beat in 15 balls. And there are 3 other players who've got a 15-ball half-century in the T20. Will Jacks, Kieran Carlson and Jacob Bethel.
It's all very recent, really.
Martin Anderson to bowl his second over. It was he who found the breakthrough, but he's not going to find the breakthrough bowling that down the leg side. 103 for 4. It was Anderson who got the breakthrough initially, getting Budinger out. Luke Ronke hit a 16-ball 50 against Durham in 2017. Thank you to Jack Gabriel, who works for the club. Here comes Anderson running away from us from the pavilion end. It's a nice delivery, and it gets an appeal for low before wicket, but it's going to race away for 4 leg byes. Just down the leg side, that from Anderson again is line straying, and Leicestershire get 4 and a bit of respite. They needed that boundary just to settle the nerves a bit. Massud 9 from 10, 108 for 4. Leicestershire needs 63 to win.
Keeper should have got that, really. Diving to his right, Donald pretty much got his glove to it, and Guess would have stopped that.
Anderson past the umpire, right arm round the wicket, and back goes Massud and clips it off his hips to get a single out to deep backward square leg. 109 for 4, 62 to win.
I mean, you never know. He might have an injury. He might hurt himself in the warm-up or something like that. But it's
he's not a regular wicket keeper, is he?
No, Guess might have picked up an injury. I meant
I see what you mean.
so that they've had to play Donald. But no, I mean certainly Donald isn't, and it kind of looks a bit like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So with the right-handed Cox, who's yet to get off the mark, he's only faced 1 delivery though. Martin Anderson is going to go over the wicket, and he comes now. It's a slow run up, hit in the air, but over the head of the mid-wicket, who's very close in, and it rolls round to mid-off, where it's fielded. So Cox is off the mark, and this has suddenly become a little bit tetchy. The last 6 overs or so have become quite nervy for Leicestershire. They looked like they were storming towards victory after an incredible start, but Derbyshire have got themselves right back into it. Anderson, his elbows jutting out, bowling from the pavilion end. He's coming round the wicket to the left-handed Massud, who drives at that, and it goes straight to Patel at short cover. There is no run. So we've got 1 ball left in the 11th over. That run rate at 6.5. So again, just going on a run of ball is pretty handy. They could just do with a couple of boundaries. They haven't had one in a while. Well, there's 2 balls to go. So Anderson's in, that's down the leg side, yep, so it's a wide, so there's still 2 balls to go. And Anderson's given Leicestershire a couple of freebies, actually.
Yeah, they needed this over, didn't they?
Derbyshire have given Leicestershire a few freebies in this over with the 4 leg byes and the wides. Brown hair, Anderson, tall figure. It's he who gave Derbyshire total to defend, and he bowls, and it's edged and wonderfully stopped. That short third man, it came right off the top of the bat, zinged off it. There's a fielder there, short third man diving to his left, and got it. It's like a goalkeeper saving a penalty, that. And so there is 1 ball left in the over, so there's 9 off it already. What can Cox do? Cox so dependable. I remember last year in the T20 coming in and playing some vital innings. He'll hope to do the same again today. His bat waves as he waits for Anderson, who bowls a good length delivery, and he whips him away on the leg side. They'll look for 2 here, and they're not going to get it. Massud sends him back at the striker's end. So it's just a single, 10 off the over. And boy, did Leicestershire need
Just
that.
what they needed, really.
58 to win now for Leicestershire. They've got 9 overs in which to do it, chasing 171. Cox 2 off 3, Massud 11 off 13. You suggest that whether this is easy for Leicestershire, comfortable, or whether it's going to be very difficult, or whether it completely falls apart, might well be in the hands of Mr. Massud, Pakistan international.
Absolutely agree. It's in his hands now. He can start his Leicestershire career in the best possible way by winning them the game. Ben Cox faces Samit Patel. Patel tosses it up. Cox uses his feet, gets to the ball pretty much on the full, hits it out towards deep mid wicket. Massud, who's running to the danger end, calls Cox back for the second, and they make their ground comfortably enough. Madsen backs up well to make sure that there are no overthrows. Cox onto 4. Patel is in. Cox is forward, pushing out into the offside, and quickly onto the ball is Wayne Madsen. Crossed with himself. There wasn't too much wrong with the throw, but he didn't hit the stump to have any chance of running Massud out. It had to hit the stumps, and he probably made his ground anyway. So Cox tipped and ran.
Quick single's a nice way, I think, using the squeezing the runs out from everywhere is a very sensible way to get this down.
Madsen back to the edge of the circle at extra cover. Cover goes a little bit wider on the boundary. Massud sweeps from well outside off stump. Moving smartly to his right at short fine is Zach Chappell. Gets his throw away quickly. It was a little bit wild, the throw, and the batsmen had made their ground. Massud on to 12. 54 to win. 8.3 overs. That part of the equation is fine. That less happily from Leicestershire's point of view, 4 wickets down. Cox sweeps one of his favourite shots off the stumps, hence the cries of anguish from Samit Patel. But he got plenty of it, swept it out to Caleb Jewell out there on the deep backward square boundary. Takes 1. Excuse me, moves on to 6, 118 for 4. In goes Patel. Calmly, Massud works it back past him out towards long. Off again. Walk jogs the single. So runs off every delivery in the over thus far. Cox to face the last ball. Patel round the wicket, bowls to him, and he works it into the huge gap at mid-on, wide-ish mid-on, almost straight mid-wicket, and takes the single. So 7 off the over, and that is fine from the Foxes' point of view. 17 off 2 overs without losing a wicket, and the ship just begins to be steadied a little bit. 120 now for 4. And this is all these two need to do.
Yep.
Just work it around, work it around. It's wickets that Derbyshire need.
No boundaries for Massud in his 13. And you're right, there's gaps there. The blistering start that Leicestershire got off to has given them the freedom to have no real pressure on the scoreboard. It's just not losing wickets, which is the key, and getting too excited, getting the rush of blood to the head, thinking that there's a ball to be slogged when you don't need to. Hopefully these two have the experience to know that they don't need to do it. Or they might get bamboozled by this guy, Gazanfar, bowling from the pavilion end, 2 for 25 from his 3 overs.
Big roll of the dice, this, isn't it? But he knows they need wickets, Patel, so he brought him back.
It's 51 to win off 8 overs. Here comes Gazanfar, coming away from us, tossed up and driven by Cox, fielded by Patel, diving to his left. There is no run. Sky turning a nice shade of yellow off to our right-hand side. Look out over Grace Road. The floodlights beginning to take over as we head late into the night at Grace Road. Gazanfar in. Oh, it's hit in the air and taken by Gazanfar, who has to dive forward. Now Cox is saying that hit the ground. Cox is standing there. He's not moving. He's not moving. Gazanfar is celebrating. It was just chipped up in the air, a leading edge. Gazanfar tumbled forward and took it. And Cox is saying, I'm not going anywhere. That wasn't out. And the umpires are having a discussion. Now, this is intriguing. They've said not out. They've said not out. Cox stood there.
We'd need to see the replay from the other side. The wicketkeeper immediately celebrated on seeing it, but Cox was absolutely adamant that that was taken on the half volley.
People walking quite closely to Ben Cox there. They're not the Derbyshire players. Wow, that is a big moment. That is a big moment in this game. It was a dot ball in the end. But it's a big call. Here's Gazanfar. In, back goes Cox. And he's hit that away into the gap. They should get 2 here. Cox, he comes back for the second, tests the arm, and they win the race comfortably. I wonder whether they had a discussion, the umpires, didn't they? Cox just didn't move at all, and I wonder whether that was a benefit of the doubt to the batsman situation, or unless the square leg umpire saw it hit the floor, because it would have been right in front of the umpire at this end. Gazanfar, 3 balls into his final over, bowls on leg stump, and forward comes Cox and glances it into the leg side square of the wicket. 1, 2, 3 for 4. Under 50 to win now for Leicestershire from 7.2 overs.
In fairness, once the decision was not out, Derbyshire quickly back to their places, and when a fielding side genuinely believes in those situations a catch is taken, there's usually a lot of chat, and there hasn't been any really, so I think they know it was a little bit doubtful.
Gazanfar, the left-handed Shan Massud, 13 not out. That's back of a length, and back goes Massud to it and pushes it down into the ground. There is no run. We've had 3 runs off this over so far. There is 1 ball left of Gazanfar's spell. I think they'll just be happy to see him off. And there are bowlers. I mean, Pat Brown has to. Someone has to come back who has been very expensive, and that's why this was a gamble from Patel. So they may just be happy to see this out. Massud waits. Bat raised. In comes Gazanfar, and it's driven pleasantly by Massud. I don't know whether you picked that up. Someone just shouted "shot" from down below us underneath the pavilion. So end of the over, 4 off it, but they'll take that. Gazanfar, I tell you what, he may be one to watch in this T20 Blast season. All sorts coming out of his hand there. He caused all sorts of problems. But, it is 1, 2, 4 for 4 at the end of the 13th over. 47 to win for Leicestershire of 42 balls.
And again, there's no great chat or any sort of issues out there, which suggests to me that they know there was a biggish element of doubt about how cleanly the catch, how clean the catch was. He's perfectly entitled to claim it if it may well have thought he got his hands underneath it, but we'd need to see a replay from the other end to be sure. So umpires certainly weren't. Patel over the wicket, backing away is Shan Massud, chopping it away through the gap in the covers out to the sweeper on the cover boundary and taking 1. Massud on to 15. 46 to win from 6.5.
When was the last time we had a boundary?
Patel tosses that one right up, uses his feet, Ben Cox, but doesn't try and overhit it, just clips it out to deep mid-wicket, takes 1.
Massud from his 18 deliveries hasn't scored a boundary. He's 15 not out. Cox hasn't scored one either. We didn't have many before that.
Patel over the wicket. Massud cuts, and it's going to go down to third man for 4. It was a little bit lucky, a bit top edgy. It certainly wasn't where he was looking to hit it. There is the boundary that Adam was looking for. It was just wide of Gazanfar, and as I say, once you've beaten short third, there's no real chance for the ball to be chased down, and indeed it wasn't. So Massud on to 19 from 19, 130 for 4, 41 to win.
It's a big bit of luck, that.
Patel in, bowls, quicker delivery, slog swept down to long leg, and that has gone for 4. We can't see down there as some of the crowd up here on the Morris Burrows terrace are standing, obscuring our view away to the right. So I had to wait for the umpire's signal. The umpire's signal was 4, so 2 4s in the over. Big boost for the Foxes. Massud on to 23. Patel is in, bowls to him, looking to work it on the onside. Comes off something of a leading edge and rolls out into the offside. Madsen claps Patel on the back in encouragement. Patel steps in and bowls, gives it some air, very elegantly driven by Massud out towards wide-ish long off. Then he holds up his hand to Cox, who was turning in anticipation of a possible second, and says, no, we've got enough from the over, and indeed they do. 11 from it, 135 for 4, 36 to win from 6, and was a big moment that. If that had been a clean catch, clearly a clean catch, then Leicestershire would still have been a little bit nervous, but at the moment it looks now as though they're back in control.
That over has changed things, and it's that Pat Brown who's coming back down in front of us. It is 29 off his first over. I suspect the second one isn't going to be quite as expensive, but his figures are going to be ruined no matter what happens. Brown with dark brown hair, tall figure. England international in this form of the game.
He played 4 T20s, something like that, not a handful.
It's running in now, away from us. And it's a slower delivery, hit on the pad, Massud, but it was too high, probably with a right arm over the wicket to a left-hander, probably pitched outside, leg stump as well.
Leicestershire could have had him, really, because in a way. He went to Bourne Grammar School, which is Lincolnshire, but not far from Stamford. And he was born in Peterborough, so... Oh, yeah. Sort of in Leicestershire's sort of catchment area.
Certainly worth a small invasion over the ball, isn't it, to go and get him. You were right, 4 T20s. 2 put my teeth in, T20 eyes. 135 for 4, 36 to win. In comes Brown, and that's a huge hit from Massud. That's gone for 6. That's the biggest one of the day. Goodness me, that's gone all the way over onto this far side of the ground. That's the biggest 6 of the day. Picked that up quickly, dropped too short from Brown. Back went Massud and clobbered it, pulled over the deep mid-wicket boundary. And 141 for 4, 30 to win. We're under a run of ball now. Massud on to 30. Brown past the umpire, bowls, slower ball, back goes Massud, just showing that class and cleverness. Didn't get too dramatic about it. Just 6 and single. 142 for 4. If there was any doubt, I think that's been ended by the last 2 overs, with Massud finally finding some pace. But he's played brilliantly. So watchful in the first 18 deliveries when he was 15 not out. And then in the next 7 he's raced on to 31. 142 for 4, 29 to win. The run rate 5.3. Cox waits 11 not out, and that's a short delivery, and that's a horrible one. It's a rank long hop. That's real wide, so you have to bowl that one again.
Not a much Pat Brown is going to look on fondly unless things change dramatically. 37 from 9 legitimate deliveries for the former England international.
In the other games, Nottinghamshire 147 for 2, chasing 226. That one should go to the wire. Here's Brown, in, bowls, back goes Cox, and inside edge. It goes to mid-on. Not a convincing stroke, but he gets a single for it. 144 for 4, 27 to win. Yorkshire 142 for 5 off 12 overs, chasing 237. That might be Northamptonshire's day, and it's Northamptonshire where Leicester should go next. Wantage Road on Sunday. It's Derbyshire's Pat Brown, 36 on his back, navy blue shirts and trousers, past the umpire, bowls a slower ball, and Massud rocks back and plays it forward of square to deep mid-wicket, who runs in. And Martin Anderson is the man to field. We've got a right-hand, left-hand combination, so the field is running, jogging around. The whole field scatters every time there's a single. Massud 32, Cox 12. Yeah, the nice hum in the background of the 2,000 odd that have come to watch this game here today. As Brown turns, kicks up his heels. Big long run up from him. He's in, he bowls down the leg side. That's another wide. Brown 1.5 overs, 40 off it. And it's the game right there, really, isn't it? You know, you take 20 off that total, it's 125 for 4 at this stage. You've still got a game, but This looks like it's going to be a comfortable win for Leicestershire. They need 25 off 5.1 overs at under 5 and over. Brown back straightens, he comes in, he's cut. You heard the crunch off the bat, which is very pleasant from Cox. So he moves on to 13. He'll keep the strike at the end of the over. So there was, in the end, what, 12 of that, Richard?
Yep.
So 147 for 4. Leicestershire have just turned on the style in the last 3 overs after a bit of a nervy patch. They were, if you're just joining us, chasing 171. They were 73 for no loss. Sold Budinger with a record-breaking 50 off 15 deliveries. Then they lost for 30 runs. They lost 4 wickets to leave them 103 for 4. These two have played very, very nicely indeed. Exactly what the situation required. Very slow, very patient to start with, knocking around the singles at pretty much a run of ball, and then they have started to ramp it up. They should get home.
So it looks like they're going to give David Lloyd a bowl. A little bit of sort of off-spin of sorts from the Welshman. Steps in and bowls, drops it short, and he's bowled him. Well, it went back. Cox tried to pull it into the middle of next week. It may have stayed a touch low, but whatever, he missed it. And middle stump and off stumps have been split apart, moved apart. And that little stand that Leicestershire had put together, an important little stand, has come to an end. Cox goes, bowled for 13 and then 147 for 5, still needing another 24. Plenty of time to get them, but Logan van Beek against his former side will, I suspect, quite fancy being there at the end.
Just outwitted him a bit there, Lloyd. It was too quick, didn't bounce enough for him. Cox, as you say, trying to pull it into next week, and it's a pretty decent first ball from Lloyd. And you're right, Van Beek will fancy this. Seeing his team home. 24 needed of 29 deliveries. Just dragged it down a bit, just watching the replay. It's a quick ball.
No real comments to Ben Cox as he leaves the field. Again, suggesting that the catch or non-catch wasn't really an issue as far as Derbyshire are concerned. Lloyd is into Van Beek, outside off stump. Van Beek chops it away to the man on the point boundary, really, now. Ross Whitley has been out there. Van Beek takes his single. Massud looks around him, sees a long gone deep mid wicket. Deep backwards square, long off, and an extra cover on the boundary as Lloyd is in. He cuts it exquisitely to the backward point boundary for 4. All wrist and timing and technique, and a man who's seeing it really nicely. And it sat up very nicely and was cut away for 4 in such style. Lovely to see. I think whatever happens to Leicester in this competition, the more we'll see of Shan Massud, the more we'll enjoy watching him just bat, really. Such a classy player. In goes Lloyd and bowls a little bit short. Massud goes back and just works it through a very straight mid-on out to the long on for a single. Moves on to 36, doing kind of exactly what we wanted him to do, really, from Leicestershire's point of view, which, given the start, all he had to do was sort of play, really, and he's done that. Lloyd is in, drops a touch short to Van Beek, who, again, is a sort of slightly sort of done on length and ends up sort of shoveling it back towards Lloyd, who is in, outside off stump. Had to try and reach for that one and cut it away, and Lloyd cannot believe it's been given as a wide. Turns to see umpire Baldwin's arms extended, and reacts with dismay. Drops a little bit short. Van Beek goes back and pushes it off the back foot, drives, but not a great deal of time. But into the gap, out towards the extra cover, takes a single, keeps a strike. End of the over, 155 for 5. Leicestershire need 16 off the last 4. They have 5 wickets in hand. They should get over the line comfortably. Shan Massud 37 not out, Logan van Beek 2.
There's a man who's been watching Leicestershire for too long. He's still unsure.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So 4 and over. This should be comfortable. Zach Chappell will bowl his third over, 22 from his first 2 overs. He'll be bowling from the pavilion end, right arm over the wicket, bowling to the right-handed Logan Van Beek. Bowled very well today. In comes Chappell, bowls down the leg side. That's a lovely little glance, fine glance down to fine leg. They get 2 as a result of it. There's a slight misfield, and so it's incredibly comfortable. Van Beek onto 4, 157 for 5, 14 needed off 23 balls. Man does mental maths in his head.
Good effort, well done.
Chappell it is, running away from us, bounding in. It's up to the wicket, he bowls, that's down the leg side, and so that's a wide. There's another free run. And this ends, we should say, a very long and miserable run for Leicestershire against Derbyshire. 6 in a row the Falcons have won in this competition, 9 of the last 10. What were you saying? The record here is miserable as well, as it's
yes.
6 in a row at Grace Road too.
Something like that, yes.
Horrendous. Chappell past the umpire, bowls. Oh, and like Van Beek nearly plays on there, nearly chops into his own stumps, but it goes in front of him rather than behind him. Thick inside edge onto the floor. 158 for 5, 13 still to win.
It sort of feels that with the attack that they have, the slightly limited bowling attack and the options that they have, it wins at this stage of the competition are a bonus in a way, with more options to come back.
And he comes, bangs this one in, turn round the corner, and that's well placed from Van Beek, but he'll only get a single for it. He timed it very well behind square on the leg side, pulled it right in front of his face, and gets a single. So 12 to win now off 21. And this means Leicestershire have played 8 games, 8 unbeaten, 6 wins.
Indeed.
In 2 different formats. What a start to the season it has been. Many folk around here at Grace Road won't be able to remember it unlike it. Oh, we've got a beer snake over on the right side in the crowd there. Here comes Chappell in, round the wicket, bowls to the left-handed Massud, comfortable as you like, clips it off his ankles and gets a single out to deep mid-wicket. It's a big long beer snake, that one. Can you see it? There's a man marauding round the stands out there with a big bunch of beer.
Banana's gone.
Glasses. It's about 25 quid worth of pint glasses there if you hand them back in. Chappell, penultimate ball of his third over in. It's a full and defended by Van Beek. Doesn't need to play at that, and so doesn't. Straight back to Chappell it goes. There is no run. Promising start for Leicestershire. Although I think if you were a Derbyshire fan, you would be asking questions, wouldn't you, I think, about the start that Derbyshire had to their batting innings. And I'd say to the start of Leicestershire's innings too, in terms of their bowling. Chappell, final ball of this over, bowls to Van Beek, gets it off his hips into the leg side, and there is a single added to the total. 161 for 5. End of the 17th over. Leicestershire need 10 to win. And they've got 21 runs in which to do it. They're going to coast home to victory in this opening match at Grace Road.
But they'll make changes, I'm sure, Derbyshire, and will adapt accordingly. There's been a lot in the game that's kind of been good from their point of view, notably, you know, Anderson and Whitley dragging the innings back, and you wonder whether sort of par was about sort of 180, 190 really. In goes Lloyd and bowls. Van Beek goes back, chops him out into the offside, but straight to Madsen at short extra. Lloyd's been good. 1 for 8 from 7 deliveries. Goes in and bowls. Van Beek drives through the vacant mid-off area out to long off. It bounces off his knee. Massud holds up his hand, says no, we won't run on that particular misfield. Fielder recovered the ball quickly and got it in, so just the single. 9 to win. All change, everybody out on the leg side with the exception of short fine for Massud. Lloyd round the wicket to him, he drives it straight through his hands, really above his head. The Welshman, not a tall man, but it wasn't that far above his head, and he got his hands up, but he hit it hard. Massud out too long off and one is taken. 8 to win, 163 for 5. Lloyd is in. Van Beek clips it firmly along the ground all the way out towards long on. Takes 1, moves on to 8. 7 to win. And in the end, yeah, it looks as though they're going to get across the line comfortably enough. The sort of wobble after the demise of Budinger for that astonishing half-century notwithstanding. Massud drives it down into the ground and it bounces up nicely for Patel, Samit Patel, to make the stop. Lloyd jogs back to the top of his mark because they're getting close to the cut-off time. Massud drives out to the fielder on the offside boundary, takes his single, moves on to 40 from 32 deliveries. Perfectly paced as far as Leicestershire are concerned. 6 to win from the last 2 overs.
And you're right, it's 12 minutes past 9, so is it you've got to start the last over by 17 minutes past, which is the cut-off. And it's going to be Pat Brown to bowl this over. He's had a miserable afternoon. I don't think he will have enjoyed this trip to Leicestershire. The Foxes will hope to finish it off in this over. 165 for 5. Van Beek 8 off 11. Massud a vital 40 from 32. Like I said, didn't we, about 5-6 overs ago, it sort of felt all in the hands of Massud. And so it appears it has been Massud. Waits as Brown is in. He clobbers this for 4. Thick outside edge. It flies away behind square on the offside. And Leicestershire are now within touching distance. They need 2 to win. Massud just sort of threw his arms at that, didn't he? 169 for 5. Massud on to 44.
Brown 45 off 13 deliveries. Street. That's yeah. He's had better days, but he will have better days again, I'm certain, Pat Brown. Too good a bowler not to.
Over 20 economy rate will harm the average. In he comes, he bowls, and it's a slower delivery, which Massud plays forward to, and nearly gets a leading edge, but controls himself well. Hey Jude is belting out. We've had all the classics recently. We just had Sweet Caroline. But we'll have Love Shack or something soon. The Bangor drummers, they're preparing. I can see them out over there, over the covers. Brown runs away. Will this be the moment? 2 to win for Leicestershire, and it's calmly played by Massud into the leg side. So we are tied with 9 balls to go. Leicestershire need 1 to win to chase down 171. It's all starting, really. I can credit Sol Budinger and Rishi Patel for a storming, fantastic opening partnership. 15 ball 50.
86 off the power play.
Yeah. Here he is. Brown then, all the fielders up. As Van Beek faces, he drives. They decide not to go for the run, so it's a dot. 1 from 8. Do join us, by the way, on Sunday. Well, do join us on Saturday as well. We've got the rugby tomorrow. But if you're a cricket fan, do join us on Sunday. Leicestershire against Northamptonshire at Wantage Road. We'll be live from 2 o'clock. The game gets underway at 3. Wonder whether we could be in for an exciting season. After one game, too difficult to read into it. But here comes Brown. He's in. He tosses this one up. And the game's going to be ended by a wide.
Sums up Pat Brown's evening, doesn't it? Bless his heart.
Tilts his head to the side. That is the end of the game. Leicestershire have won by 5 wickets. They have done so with 8 balls to spare. And what looked like it was going to be over incredibly quickly after Budinger and Patel's rapid finish ended up being a relatively responsible chase. Shah Massud's 45 not out central to it. He played very calmly indeed as he saw them over the line. 86 from the power play, but from then on they chased down 181 in style. That's a great win for Leicestershire to start off their T20 campaign. They have won by 5 wickets against Derbyshire, ending an utterly miserable run against them. That's 6 straight wins for the Falcons, ended Leicestershire. Start off with a win, and that is 8 games and 8 unbeaten for Leicestershire. And there's some rowdy fans over there in the corner, Jack Rafferty. Turn the other way, look over in the Stench and Benno stand, they're jumping around up there.
Well, it's party time, isn't it? Clearly. I mean, we've been speaking about what a positive start in the county championship. We spoke about the challenges that maybe they would face in the T20. So how much of a boost, Richard, for them to start in the way that they have?
Yeah, massively, obviously. As I say, with the players who are missing in particular, sort of wins at the start of the competition, obviously they're important in terms of momentum, etc, etc, etc. But with the players that are due to become available later on, the Fox side strengthens as the form goes on. So wins at the beginning are a real boon in a way, and that's huge really, and it maintains the confidence of the whole squad.
I think what you must sit on bank is their ability on the tight take wickets. We saw that, their ability to original the boundary, certainly saw that. We saw potential all for them to get to the ball. They were a bit nervy for 103 for 4 or something like that. 104, yeah. Gone set up, but players like Massud, players like Hill, who did come off today, are able to see players home.
Well, a lot of days and gentlemen, I've been by Soldier. And first of all, mate, the collective, how much of a positive and a booster in the first game competition?
Yeah, 100%. You know, obviously we started well in the Red Bull and to take that momentum, but obviously against the game's coming after trying to stay level and go against it.
I guess they up that form from the championship. Real improvement in form. I don't know if you're aware of form in this competition. It's been pretty high in recent years. I think, what was it, 6 in a row before today. To break little things like that, how important that be for a team that is trying to build as you are?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you know, I think Derby's probably had a number over the last few years, and you know, look at the crowd here tonight. You know, it's probably the busiest I've seen it at Grace Road. So, look, exciting stuff for the team. But like I said again, go from every game and keep trying to.
Did I see a flare fan at the end?
I thought it was football. It's ultras. Everyone's happy. Crowd is brilliant. It's a good time. Like long season. So.
Let's talk about your indoor batting, shall we?
Yeah, pretty happy. Obviously, like I had the same at Yorkshire, but I'm probably a bit downhill. So just trying to build on a better player and just build it. You know, have one knock out of 10 and keep growing. But a lot of learning and I'm a better player.
Has anybody spoken to you about record?
No.
We think, if I'm right, fastest fee for Leicestershire ever. And I think the fastest fee in the T20 blast. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Obviously, we got the win from the record. So they're good. You look back on your career. The main for me is doing better cane every time I step across to try my best.
I'm going to get you and Thomas to do a little show, but before Sol's away though, Jari Millett, talk to us about that today.
You know, he was working, but there's no gains over the last couple of weeks. He's working very hard. Not saying he hasn't been working hard before, but his